Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for another Chelsea news show for you guys. We're going to catch up on all the news in and around Chelsea. And Mason Mount officially announcing himself to Manchester United. We're going to go through that. We've got news today coming in around Hakim Ziyech as well, which we'll be discussing in as well. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Caicedo is obviously one of the main topics as well. Also got Gabri, Veiga involved in this as well. And any more other breaking news that comes out this way in the next sort of hour and a half to 2 hours, we'll obviously delve into. We'll have the panel in later today as well, which means that you will be, you'll be able to listen to what they have to say, their thoughts and opinions on what's happened in the last couple of days as well. But like I said, any breaking news from now and the next 2 hours, we will keep sharing with you guys. Lots to talk on, lots to discuss, lots of emotions running through the Chelsea fan base at the moment. Some very unhappy with what's happened or over the last sort of couple of days. Others are very happy, should I say, as well, or should we say as expected. But nice seeing all you guys as always. I hope you're all well. Smash the like. We've got a Chelsea news show for you to run in today on a Friday just before the weekend. Let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for another Chelsea transfer news show for you guys. And sorry they've not been as frequent. 2 seconds, I've got to do something as well. 2 seconds, guys, 2 seconds. Let me close this in the background. This will obviously help with my connection. Should help with my connection, yeah. So, yeah, lots has been going on in and around Chelsea Football Club, but more to do with the outgoings leaving this club. And we're going to be discussing a lot of that in today's show, along with obviously, hopefully some incoming news, which we were hoping for next week or some point soon. Let's say hello to everyone in the chat. Leah, what are you saying? Big up to you. Adele, how are you, my man? Nice to see you. Hope you are well. Sean, big up to you as well. Nice to see you in the building. Gary is here as well. He's not happy with just rose me sneaky, unhanded way the Bald have went on. They need Mount's fee. We know and know that they've sold him. There's no limits if they mess up the transfer windows. Now, Gary's probably not happy with that. Reece and any homegrown will be assets to sold. Well, I don't know of Reece James. I think we'll have to see it at a later stage. I don't see him going anywhere. I saw his comments yesterday pretty much stating that, he wouldn't go to Arsenal. We got to DJ Sav as well. Nice to see you. Ashraf says Ziyech is such a curse. He is. He's like a boomerang, isn't he? He just keeps coming back. You throw him, and he just comes back and slaps you in the face. Sam, how you doing? She says, let's go. How you doing? It's nice to see you guys. And I've not been on as much recently as well, but we've got over 150 people here already, which is great. Thank you very much. I need you just to do me one big favor. You know what I'm going to say? I say it every premium stream. Hit that thumb, guys. Let's hit the thumbs. Let's get these likes up as well. M3 says, big up, Gem. Outside of Caicedo and Gabri Veiga, who else are we potentially trying to acquire? Good question. One that I'm hoping Ben Jacobs will be able to answer for us next week, because he will be joining us next week, Ben Jacobs, and we will be asking these questions in and around that. Obviously, the goalkeeping area is one area that, seems to be, an area that we need to obviously concentrate on, and I think we'll hear more on it in later weeks as well. I'm all good, DJ. Big up to you, Jamie. Streamed Elements. Daniel says, are we going to buy a striker or what? Well, there's still a long way to go, Daniel. There's still a long way to go. And I think at the moment it's about prioritising midfield. I think we're also going to see maybe additionally another midfielder come in my opinion. There's going to be a lot going on. I think I could still imagine us bringing 4 or 5 players in. I really do. We got Louis as well. Well, we're going to talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about that. Big up JD. What you saying, Joy? Big up to you, man. Big up Marvel. Big up Amazing. Who else have we got here? Why is it taking long to bid on Caicedo? Well, we're being told that bids for Caicedo are going to happen formally soon. I think, to be honest, an offer would probably been put forward. What probably takes longer is the negotiations of contract length, installment plans, things like that. I think we're at a point where we know what we're going to put down for Caicedo, but we'll talk about that in a bit anyway. Lewis is in the house. He says, we won. I won't get timed out here, will I? What for? Why do I time you out for you now? I'd be stupid. I know who he's referring to when he says that. Big up, Bobby. What you saying? Big up, Alfred, as well. Hopefully we bring in a few new... Well, we got to. Because, and again, we're going to talk about that in a second as well, because there's a lot to obviously delve into, and I want to get into it because equally, it's going to be there's quite a lot to get through, guys. So keep smashing likes. Over 150 people here. Let's start with the news around Ruben Loftus-Cheek, which was announced, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? I can't remember. Ruben Loftus-Cheek has now signed a contract to go to AC Milan. He is a player of theirs now. The second signing for Milan in the window as well. There's a video of Ruben Loftus-Cheek obviously making his way to Milan as well. What I would say is good luck to him. I think he has been a very professional player for us. I really do. It's a shame that he never really got to hit the heights that maybe we thought he could do when we first saw him under the Sarri era. And in all fairness, I just think that the injury completely changed that for Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You know, he's a great player, but in terms of that injury and then moving forward, he obviously suffered. He went away on loans as well across to, I think it was Fulham, wasn't it, as well? You know, he just never really found that Ruben that we saw under Sarri, and I always feel that the injury always held him back. Now, I would have been all right with Ruben staying. I think he's a great option to have on the bench, in my opinion. The fact that we've got rid of him and we still hold Conor Gallagher on our books is just disgusting. It really annoys me, to be honest. I'd rather have Ruben Loftus-Cheek there than have Conor Gallagher there, in my opinion. I think Ruben is more versatile. I think Ruben offers more. But at the same time, two to tango. We've obviously put him up for sale. We've got a decent amount of money for him. He probably might have wanted a new role in himself as well. He's been at Chelsea for a very long time. He is one of the La Cobhams, one of the La Cobhams. I remember Mason Mount when he was a baby, commenting on Ruben Loftus-Cheek as one of the players that he used to look up to, and good luck to him. There's nothing more to say about it. Good luck. I hope it all really works well for Mr. Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Big up to him. Good luck over at Milan. He's now over there with Giroud as well. And, we move on from him, guys. We move on from him. What? Oh, some people's comments are weird. Weirdos. Good job, bro. Going for Nigeria. Big up to you, bro. Nice to see you. Feel bad for Ruben. Should be going to a better team than AC, but best. Yeah, listen, AC are a good team. They're a good team in Italy. Come on, they're one of the biggest in Italy as well. So it's not the end of the world. While we dancing to Brighton's tune again, they are taking the piss. Please, Izzy, for another player. What makes you think that he's overpriced? We don't even know specifically what we're offering and how we're setting up installments. Again, let's just wait and see what happens. If you think that's overpriced, what do you think of Declan Rice that's going for 105 million? Reece James should be the captain now after a better. Listen, I've always said with Reece James that I always feel that he is, in my opinion, one of the players in our team that I look at as more captain-esque. And I've said this even when Mason Mount was around and others. This is not something that I've just said now. I've said it for a while. I look at Reece James being not only important figure for us anyway, but a leader on the pitch. The only thing that hinders Reece James from probably potentially having that captaincy is just his availability. And we know that he's been forced to play many games. He keeps picking up reoccurring injuries that he's not seeming to get over as well. And that is in itself becoming a bit of a problem moving forward for us as a club. So, these are things that we'll have to wait and see on. Obviously, I even think Enzo Fernandez in the next couple of years, depending on how we move forward and that, whatever, I think he could definitely be up there as well for an option as a captain, in my opinion. He has it all. 210 people in the building. Big love to every single one of you. It's nice to see you all. Smash the likes, guys. We're moving on from Ruben Loftus-Cheek. And we're now going to talk about some more, breaking news that came out today in and around Hakim Ziyech. Now, Ben Jacobs said that Al Nassr will carry out further tests today on Hakim Ziyech after red flags on his medical yesterday regarding both his knee and his hip. No final decision made yet whether they will pull out to get under transfer. And it just feels like with Hakim Ziyech, it's just you can't get rid of him. That is the truth. You just can't get rid of him. And now we've got more news in and around Hakim Ziyech, which is confirmed that via Sami Mokbel, who again is quite a big reporter these days. He says that Hakim Ziyech's move to Al Nassr is now off. So it wasn't now that they were contemplating it. It's now that it's off. And guess what? That means Hakim Ziyech is still on the books of Chelsea. And that is a problem for me because when it comes down to an issue with knees or whatever he's got at the moment, if he's carrying that through this summer period, it doesn't matter where or what we do to try and sell him off to. This is going to be an occurring problem. And that means that we could end up having Hakim Ziyech on the books going into next blimmin' season because he's got an injury that he's carrying across with him that is flagging up on the medicals. Now, it might be a case that he just needs a bit more time to recover for whatever it is that he's got wrong with him at the moment. And then run from that, he'll be able to run through a medical and it'll be fine. I'm hoping that's the case. But the fact that we just can't get rid of this guy, we tried at PSG. Well, we say we tried at PSG. It was too heavily concentrated on the Enzo deal, which is why we never got the Ziyech deal done completely, because it seems like we were all fully conflated on that. We saw the PSG situation. We've now got the same situation with Al Nassr for him as well. And it's just like, it's a frustrating because you just want to see these players gone. Players that don't want to be here. He's definitely a player that don't want to be here. He's definitely a player that don't want to play for this club. I don't want to see any more players in this team, especially Hakim Ziyech, who would have been one of the first in my opinion, on leaving to still be here next season. It just makes no sense to me. It makes no absolute sense. Right, so we got a little bit of more breaking news actually to come out on one of our players that we've signed recently, which we'll go to next. So Hakim Ziyech, we'll see what happens later on. Hopefully we still get rid of him in the summer. Hopefully he gets over these injuries and we can move him on as quickly as possible. Guys, we're going to move on to a little bit more of brand new breaking news. Like I said, we're going to keep bringing out news as it comes. We understand via Fabrizio Romano that Cesar Caicedo plans are for Premier League or Serie A football next season. Despite 4 loan proposals from championship clubs, the priority will be for that kind of move. Final decision will be made together with Chelsea. So 4 proposals, all championship teams, all been declined. He needs to have competitive football. And I keep saying this about Chelsea and the youngsters that we're signing. I've been saying this for a long time. If you've been listening to me for long enough, and I'm sure a lot of you have, I've always said the aim for these players is to make sure that they are playing in competitive leagues. Why? Because they gain experience from it and it allows us to build their value up as a player. So yeah, we might have paid 16 mil or 20 mil for some of these young players, but now we've got them. If they can't fulfill the Chelsea squad right now because they're not ready for the role, then you send them out. But instead of just sending them out to lower league crap competitions where it doesn't work and they just kind of just rot down there and then they're just stuck on your books and you end up selling them for like 1 mil or whatever, you throw them in to competitive leagues. And this is why Chelsea have been smart with them, especially specifically the players that they've just bought in, the young prospects that we're looking at that could be the next, big things, hopefully in the next 3-4 years, coming through and doing their thing. It's the right way to move forward. And like I said, not every single one of these guys are going to have the opportunity to be able to come in and play for Chelsea. But what it also does is that if Caicedo is just not perfect for Chelsea because we've got too many players in the midfield that are better, let's just say we buy Caicedo, Enzo, whoever comes in, got a solid midfield. And after 3-4 years still we can't get him running through, or he can't get in, then you just sell him on. And if he's having a really good season at AC Milan and he's doing well, for example, or I don't know, whoever, Inter Milan or whoever he goes to, let's just say, then you've got your player that you sold for 20 million able to be put on the market and being able to make value on. And I keep telling people this all the time, and I had a space yesterday. Chelsea, as much as we love it as a football club to us, and it is, we love everything about the club, to the owners and to the people that work within Chelsea, it is also a business. It's also a business, guys. So we need to understand that there will be decisions made in and around young players staying, going, making it in, making it out, selling them, keeping them, whatever. These are all part and parcel of the beautiful game, guys. So we'll see what happens with Caicedo at a later stage. Guys, there's nearly 300 of you here already. Big love to every single one of you. 15 minutes in. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the thumb. Literally below me now. Hit that thumb. Let's get these likes up. Let's see how quickly we can get to 100. I'm going to look at the likes in about 10 minutes. If we're not on 100 likes, guys, I will be very disappointed. The fact that we've got nearly 300 people here, we expect to at least have 100 likes as of now. So, guys, you've got 10 minutes before I look at that. Have a look at that. So, please, just see if we can do that before I actually take a look. Right, we move on to the next part, which is come out today as well. Christian Pulisic. There's another one on the books that people say, go, like Hakim Ziyech. We don't want him here. Get out. Look, Pulisic, I'm kind of done with to a degree as well. I'll be honest with you. I just don't think he's ever going to hit the heights or give given the opportunity to be a big part in his team. Yeah, we've seen glimpses of him, but in terms of the overall, he's been as big as a failure as the others, in my opinion. And I think for his own professional career, I think going somewhere else where he can maybe play and find that form and become whatever he's going to become would be a better option for him. We have AC Milan currently interested in him. Between Chelsea and AC Milan, there's apparently about a 10 million difference in euros apart for Christian Pulisic. Chelsea are asking for 28 million euros, while Milan have offered 18. So there's about 10 million off. Negotiations still remain open, and they want to conclude the operation positively. So that basically means they want to try and find a deal they want to try and strike a deal together. For 28 million euros, I don't think that's a bad price for Chelsea to ask. I'll be honest with you. I think that's a fair enough. I think that's a fair enough uh, offer to price to ask for, in my opinion. Yeah, well, 28 million euros in sterling is about 24 million, just under 25 million for him. I don't think that's bad. What they're offering us is bad because they're trying to give us 18 million euros, which will probably bring it down to around 14 million sterling. 40 million sterling is absolutely nothing. Big up everyone that's coming through as well. Yeah, maybe Ashraf. Maybe, yeah. Pulisic is better than Mudryk. Should keep him. Again, I don't. This is just preference talk here. That's not facts for me. Up the Chelsea, much love and respect from Malaysia. Big up Johan. Nice to see you guys. How you doing, my man? Big love to you. Last 4 seasons, Mount leads these stats for Chelsea games. Goals, assists, shots, chances. Great. We're going to talk about Mount in a bit, Chelsea True. So everyone that wants to talk about Mount, please save it. We're going to get to it in a bit. But yeah, there we go with Christian Pulisic. Now, I don't like talking about this guy, but we have to talk about him because he's still our player. And there's a little bit of news in and around Romelu Lukaku to say that Inter Milan have prepared a €5 million loan offer to Chelsea for Lukaku, with the obligation to buy him for around 30 million euros, including result-related and add-ons, and that could further increase the figure. So basically, that figure could still go up with the add-ons included. In my opinion, why don't you just fucking sell him? Why do we have to do another loan? Why do we even have to go for a €5 million loan for a season? Why can't they just give us the 30 million euros? I'll take it. I don't care how much it is anymore. I don't care that the fact that we've bought him for 100 million, and the owners shouldn't care. The owners shouldn't care. They didn't buy him. They didn't buy Lukaku. Roman bought Lukaku. It was his last actual buy of the Roman era, which makes it horrible, to be honest. Just get rid of him. I don't want to keep talking about this guy every year because he's still on our books. Just like Ziyech, get rid of players that don't want to be at this club. And I keep stressing it. Get rid of them. We don't need players here that don't want to be here or want to play for us. I don't care how much we spent on them. Get out the door, the lamppost. Get out the door. He's much stronger. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? The Lukaku story is too high for any clubs. Just sell him. Just sell him. Just sell him. Right. We are going to move on from there. And we are going to go straight into topic of Mason Mount. Because it's one that seems to have took a bit of a lot of fire in and around behind it, especially on social media. Some very upset, very, very upset. Others very, very happy. I think it's just other fans that just kind of probably like me don't really care, to be honest. And when I say I don't care, I didn't really care if he stayed, but I also didn't really care if he went. And that's the honest truth. And when it comes to Mason Mount, we'll quickly read this out. Quickly, it says Mount agreed 60 million package deal for Mason Mount with Chelsea. It's a done deal. 55 million plus 5 million add-ons. Personal terms have agreed. Been told the personal terms for Mason Mount are around 250 to 300k a week that Manchester United are offering him on what I believe is a 6-year contract. What are my thoughts on it? Well, it's nothing new. Even going through last season when we were playing games and he was holding bench, talks of Mason Mount leaving, talks about Mason Mount not being able to sign a contract. Some people have the view that the only last contract offer he had was back in February. Others are saying that, it was because they may have had many, meetings prior to this, up to this point, and they just couldn't come to an agreement in between. I always say one important thing when it comes to these things, and this, again, just how I see things and feel with these things, to be honest, it always takes two to tango. And as much as people want to blame the board because they don't think they know what they're doing, they've just sold one of our best players because they really love a Mason Mount. I think sometimes you have to put the emotional side of it aside for a second. And I'm talking about the emotional side in terms of your connection or how you feel about a specific player. And you have to look at it on the overall and how it's maybe got to this point. And then you've got to look at what Man United have done specifically. Contract lengths, offerings, etc. And then maybe make an image of your own on how you think this has all happened. And it's very clear to me that when we were being told that Mason Mount, part of the reason Mason Mount weren't interested in, agreeing a contract with Chelsea was because of the long term, the long term offering, because he didn't want to sign long term, and we were giving him long term offers was rubbish, because Man United had given him one for 6 years. And the real truth and be-all and end-all in all of it, I think, the two things for me, and again, this is just me going on what I think the situation is. What the big one is money. And it's money, and it's always going to be money in many cases when it comes to Mason Mount. Not Mason Mount, but players in general, shall I say, when it comes to it, because money talks. I feel that he felt that he should have been more valued. I think he probably asked us to match maybe 250 to 300k. I don't think these owners were willing to do that. Potentially offered him a lot less than that in doing so, 200k, 220k. He's probably not like that. I also believe that his agent, his dad, everything else in and around him aren't too very impressed with the new owners, in my opinion. I don't think that there's a like to that. Things have changed. Things have changed because Roman's left. And at the end of the day, it takes two. Yeah, the owners may have not been giving them what they wanted. Yeah, but at the same time, Mount chose to leave because he didn't want to accept maybe a 200k offer because he felt he was valued more. So at the end of the day, it's a hard one. It's a hard situation, but it's a situation that's now in itself, happened. And he's made the decision to leave this club. And the only reason that he's made the decision to leave this club, for me, mainly specifically, are the two things. One, that I think that they are not really fond of the new owners. And two, because of the money. And three, from Chelsea's perspective, the board looking at this, they've gone, well, look, we probably do like Mount. They probably did want him to stay. We just don't value him as much as they think he has. And on the flip side of it, they're probably looking at the value that they can make on specific players. And when you look at Havertz and Mount specifically, in our forward line, out of all the forwards that we have available to sell in this summer window, you could probably sit there and argue that they're probably the two players that we have the most value for, or we could make money on to sell. And they've gone and done that. They've made 55 million on selling him, with obviously the 5 million add-ons, if achieved, obviously. And Havertz, we got 60 million on. They've gone and made over 100 million on two players. And the clubs that they've bought them, yeah, they're not ideal clubs. Yeah, they're clubs that we don't really want to see our, these players playing for. But these players have also accepted to go to these clubs. So at the end of the day, it goes both ways for me. So, there wasn't, he didn't have to leave, did he? He didn't have to want to go to Man United. He could have stayed at Chelsea and proved everyone wrong, signed a contract at 200k, forced himself into a team, showed his quality under Pochettino. He could have done that. Then maybe gone back to the owners to rediscuss or rediscuss the contract. Maybe they should have done something where they could have reviewed the contract after a season. Because let's face it, on the back of what we saw in the last year, No one really performed to any real great standard anyway. No one performed to such a great standard anyway. So, like, it is like it's a shit. It is what it is for me. If he stayed, I would have been happy. I have no issues with Mason Mount, the player. I'm not the one that hates him. I'm not the one that overly loves him. But I also think he's a good player to have in the squad. You know, I would have been happy to have had him as an option in our team to utilise in the squad that we had. And I would have rather have seen people like Conor Gallagher go well before him. Hakim Ziyech, Christian Pulisic. I would have rather have seen all these players go before him. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. We've done it. He's chose to go. They've agreed with Man United, personal terms specifically. Chelsea have managed to get an offer good enough to then want to sell him. So, what more is there to this? There's no point of really crying about it anymore. We've sold him to Man United. Now it's down to him to go and do what he's going to do. You know, all this proper Chelsea thing, whatever, he's out the window. It's gone. There's nothing more to say. It really isn't. There is really just not much more to say about it. See what people are saying in the chat. Yeah, we've seen that. We've seen it. Mace clearly wasn't happy to be a squad player and and wanted silly money when he. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It takes two to tango. It's not just hate the owners. They're shit. They don't know what they're doing. Get out there, which I see. It's not just that. It should not just be that, because there has to. And I keep saying it. There has to be two to tango. Starboy, what are you saying? Fab tweet. Let's have a look. You know, and I'm kind of just on the flip side of it. Are you talking about the Kukurea news? Yeah, Kukurea news. He called it fake news. Yeah, we'll come to that in a second. We'll just drop that to people after. So, good luck, Mason Mount. Again, not good luck when you come and play my club. Again, I hope we finish above Man United every season. Again, and I keep reiterating this to everyone that I speak to, I am always putting the badge before any player, even players that I did love. And a big example of that was Eden Hazard. Eden Hazard was a player that I had a lot of time for. Yeah, good luck with him as well. He's a good player. I had a lot of time for, loved, but I always knew in the back of my mind he was going Real Madrid. And we moved on from it. I say we moved on fully. We didn't move on in replacing him. That's a different story, because I don't think you can replace Eden Hazard. But, you know, we're still here. We're still moving. You know, at the end of the day, sometimes we have to look at it on the basis of that. I think too many people want to have the next Lampard Terry. They want to have that module because they've seen it work. They've seen it be successful, the spine, and I get all that. But at the same time, I think we're in a generation where it's slightly different. I think we're in a position now where the fans themselves paint images of specific players, of what they actually really are, or what they really mean, without actually understand, or actually hearing it from the player's mouth himself. And we've heard Mount say in the past, blues in his blood, and this, that, and the other. We've heard it. I've seen players kiss the badge next, and in a summer later go away and leave the club. You know, you get wrapped up in your emotions, and I get that. But the fans kind of put this image on specific players that they're something, that they're this, that they're that, and this, and we kind of do it to ourselves. You know, I get we want the John Terry and Lampard sort of look. I get that. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's as easy as just nicknaming specific players that potentially came through Cobham as one of them at the moment. So, you know, good luck to Mason Mount. I have nothing against him. You know, we made a bit of money on him, on both him and Havertz. We may live to regret it. We might be sitting here doing shows, seeing Man United and Arsenal smashing it, and Havertz and Mount being pinnacles to it. Yeah, that could happen. But at the same time, and I keep reiterating this, it's very important how we move forward as a club now. because all these outgoings are making of money and whatever, and we're going to get to that now. And we've moved from Mason Mount. And before we go to that next big thing I want to talk about, then we're going to talk about players coming in soon as well, guys. Smash the likes. I'm going to check the likes in a second. Mark Cucurella's representatives Alvaro Dominguez publicly denies stories on the Spanish left back offer to Atletico Madrid. Fake news. Cucurella is going nowhere. I'll be honest with you. He's not one of the players that I see going anywhere. I just don't. I think him and Chilwell are the two. Yes, he didn't have a great season in his first, but who did? Who did? Who was decent other than Enzo Fernandez, in my opinion? And Thiago Silva. Who else really was amazing? You know, that's why, again, with people like Cucurella, players that we have brought in, Sterling, I'm going to give him another season, especially with the shit that we just seen. So he ain't going anywhere, and it's going to be down to him to show us. And if it doesn't work next season and he doesn't kick on, then we'll have this talk again, and then we'll say, well, now he needs to go, or he's not good enough, or he's not good enough to play in such a big club, or whatever. But yeah, when it comes to him, not interested. But 300 people on Chelsea Fan TV, 100 on GNA TV. How many likes have we got? Let's have a look. Right. GNA TV, we've not even got 50 likes yet, guys. That is embarrassing. Everyone at GNA TV now, over nearly 100 people there. Please hit the thumb now. I'm watching it. I'm watching the thumb. I'm watching the thumb. I'm going to come back to that. That better be over 50 when I come back, guys. Jesus. Chelsea Fan TV, well done, guys. 108 thumbs. 108. Nearly 300 people here as well. Big up, man. Guys, then for Chelsea Fan TV, the big next step for you guys is getting this to 150. Now, if you haven't hit the thumb there, please do it now. I'm actually watching the thumb now. How quickly can you get that to 150 likes? So anyone that's not hit the thumb, guys, hit it now. Because the more that we hit the thumbs, the more of an audience we get as well. And this is the aim, guys. This is the aim. Big up. I can see 118 there. Let's go back to check GNA TV. 47, guys. 47. Come on. Come on. 48. Are we over 50 yet? Come on. Let's keep going. We're going to get back to the show in a second, but I've got to get these likes up. I have to push these shows a bit more, guys, unfortunately. So come on. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Everyone hit the thumb. Everyone hit the thumb. Oh, 126 likes on Chelsea Fan TV. Nearly there, guys. Nearly there. 130 now. 130. Who's going to make it to 150 and who's going to make it to the... All right, we got it on the 50 anyway. Big up. Big up, guys. Next aim for you guys on GNA TV is to get this up to 75. 75, guys. Go, 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 go. Go, go, go. Chelsea Fan TV, 133 likes. Go, 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 go. 150 likes. 150 likes, guys. You get to 150 and I'll go on to the next topic. Come on. Let's go. Don't be shy, guys. Smash the likes. Big love, man. I appreciate every single one of you for doing that. I really do. Big love, big love, big love. Right. Going back to the show. Come on, people. Let's do it. Let's do it. Right. Let's go on. Let's continue with it. Nearly 400 people in the building. 400 people in the building. Come on. How are we all doing? We're now going to move on to what I was going to talk about before we got on the outgoings. We've still got the panel to come in as well, guys. So stay tuned. How much money have Chelsea made on players sold? Well, there you go. It was 208 million, but now you're going to have to minus 8 million off it because Hakim Ziyech has not been sold yet. So at the moment, Mendy, Koulibaly, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic, Havertz, Mount, obviously Kante should be there as well, to be honest. But I don't think we sell. I think we let him go on a free, didn't we? I don't remember. But anyway. Take off 8 million because we haven't sold Hakim Ziyech. We would have made 8 million on him, so it would have been 208. We have made 200 million in sales on these players. 200 million in sales on just these players. Now, are you guys impressed with that? I think it's quite impressive, personally. And I've got to say, I think Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart have done a very good job on that. And I still think there's more to come. I still think there's more people to leave. I wouldn't be surprised if we close the gap between to 250 to 300 mil in sales. Now, the biggest thing in all of this, and this is all good, yeah, and we should be okay with this, and whatever. Some people might not be happy because some of the players that are left. Put that aside a second. Forget the players that we've sold and look at the money that's made. But the most important thing next in all of this is how we utilize the money. How do we utilize the money? You know, who do we bring in next? Because it's all right selling players, but it's also about how you improve the squad, right? How do we make the squad better? And Caicedo is one that's being talked about. Gabri, Veiga, who we're going to go to next, is one that's being talking about. We've still got goalkeeping area to solve. Still got the striker area to solve. There's a good potential that we could probably get another midfielder. So I'm going to just say this straight up. I think we're going to get another goalie, 2 midfielders, striker, and potentially another like 8, 10. I reckon there's going to be about 5 players. I think we're going to sign about 5 players this summer window. That's what I think. But I still think we might need more. On top of that, we still need to look at the youth. We still need to see if they can be integrated into what we currently have at the moment. Will they be given opportunities? Will Pochettino look at them and go, right, this is your chance? Remember, we've also still got no Champions League football, no European football, which means we then go into the season with less games to play. So once a week, barring when we play FA Cup, Carling Cup, or Carabao, whatever it's called now. So at the end of the day, I think this is a good time for Chelsea, the owners, the manager, the recruitment team to go and get that jobs done seriously. Now, I said 5, but this is also the inclusion of some of the young players that I think we might even include in the squad for this season. We need to make sure that we kind of get most of what we need done now. And the reason I say that is because, yeah, I won't say we've got an easy season because obviously we want to get Champions League and that's going to be important next season. But there's going to be a lot more time on the training ground than there has been in the last 5 odd years of Chelsea being in Champions Leagues plus. There's going to be a lot more time on the training ground to train, work hard, work with the core, bring them up to speed, you know, get them all playing with each other. So, you know, at the end of the day, I think that if we can get the main core of what we want moving forward in, along with if we can, the depth as well, and allow Poch to work with them through this full summer, come into the next summer, where hopefully we get Champions League football, we'll be then able to maybe just amalgamate a couple here, 1 here, 2 there, strengthen the squad here. A bit like what Man City do, but nothing really changes because the core of what you have is so strong. They've been playing with each other for a long time. They've had a lot of training sessions together. They understand the manager, his roles, what's doing. There's been time there for them to understand that as a team. So I think this summer is very important for us moving forward. Very, very, very important for us. You know, and along with the players that are already there as well. Guys, 450 of you here. Big up to every single one of you guys. Keep slapping the likes. We're going to talk about incomings now. Who could be potentially on their way in? And we're going to start with Gabri Veiga. Now, Gabri Veiga is an interesting one. I don't know much of him. I've not seen a lot of him. Now, a lot of people saying he's a replacement for Havertz / Mount. I looked at his stats. His stats are pretty impressive in La Liga. Gabri Veiga has been sounded out on a move to Chelsea, and there is a space in the Chelsea squad following the departures of Havertz and Kovacic. They feel that Chelsea are going to go in for this guy. We also supposedly know that Pochettino is quite intrigued and interested in the player as well. Again, Nizar Kinsella says has been sounded out for a move. Apparently, we're identifying him as a replacement of Mount. Now, look, obviously, this is all talk for now. But when you look at and I don't think I can show this because it's a video. Let's see if there's any more latest. So apparently Chelsea, via Fabrizio Romano, the latest news, this is only recent, this must have been today. Chelsea have asked Celta Vigo For more information on Gabri Veiga's release clause, which is interesting, I don't know what that is specifically, how much that is, but that came out today via Fabrizio Romano. Well-placed sources believe Chelsea will bid for Gabri Veiga soon. Apparently, this is something that's going to happen. We are expected to move for Celta Vigo's Veiga via them. What else have we got here? Anything new? I don't think there's anything new. Gabri Veiga is ready for the next step. He will leave Celta Vigo. His management is considering many options. There is contact and talks with Chelsea. That's right, Pletigo, Florian Plettenberg. See, it's starting to heat up slightly. Obviously, we've got Jackson in. Questions about the player himself. Nizar Kinsella's obviously brought out a comment here saying that his release clause is attractive for 34.6 million sterling is what he said there. But this was a first call via Jacob Steinberg, who confirmed that. Yeah, so the original plan was to just get one DM, but so many midfielders have left that Veiga has entered the fray. So basically, like I said to you guys, we're going to have to, we're going to have to bring him in. Well, I'm going to say what a goal. Can't watch that, but look, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with Gabri Veiga. It's going to be an interesting one. I've not seen much of him. Very young player, not complete. Is it a risk potentially? He's still very young. See, he's a young talent. Premier League, Spanish leagues are very different leagues in comparison anyway, as well. Completely different. I don't know. I think we just got to watch this space when it comes to him. Now, let's talk about Moises Caicedo, guys. Now, what is the recent news we've had? Well, this is from via Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea will attack Moises Caicedo deal now. As revealed yesterday, Man United never entered the race despite reports, and it's now time for Chelsea and Brighton to have direct negotiations. Caicedo already said yes. Personal terms are not the issue. Up to the clubs. I think we're well more ahead than we are being told. This is my opinion on it. I think that we know what Brighton want, and Brighton know what we're going to do. I think that there will be a trigger to when we send it, and I think there will be a plan already behind for installments and everything else. Unless Man City come out of the woodworks now, I'll be quite honest. I think we get him, all the way it's going, and I'm quite excited for him. Very excited for him. Now, what news have we got in regards to today's news? Well, in today's news around Caicedo, we're being told Chelsea are expected immediately to divert their proceeds of Mason Mount departure into him. Yes, because they've now sold two players for over 100 mil. Question marks still stand. How much will Caicedo cost Chelsea? Will Brighton try and bend us over again in trying to, get it done? And why Chelsea buy so many players of Brighton or are keen on buying Brighton? Not only because there's a relationship there, obviously because of the recruitment team we've took off them as well, but it's also apparently, from what we're being told, and probably makes sense when you look at it, the installment offerings. They're very comfortable in accepting how we originally like to issue installment offers, as maybe some other clubs wouldn't be. And it makes it very easier for Chelsea to take them on. The issue being with it all is the value a lot of times with Brighton, because we know in the past that they've got a habit of trying to make serious money on players that maybe ain't worth it. But then all clubs do that. And there's inflation that comes in that as well. Inflation is a massive thing in the market. So I think it's quite normal, guys. So Moises Caicedo is insane. If you deep it, he's just 21. He clocks 90% pass completion. He's elite level defensive stats, ball recovery, tackle, interceptions, and retention. Yet to be recorded in the Premier League. Plays at a high level in multiple positions. He's simply defying football logic. Now, a lot of people say, who is he replacing? What does he remind us of? What type of midfielder is he? Some people say he's an N'Golo Kante. I would say he's got that in him, the box-to-box presence. But for me specifically, and I don't know how many of you guys watched the old Chelsea in the past, he reminds me of a prime Michael Essien. That's what he reminds me of. A Michael Essien, the Bison. someone that could get around the pitch, was very good defensively, but also very good going forward, able to pick the passes out, play balls in, versatile. We saw Caicedo play right back. Essien used to play right back for Chelsea a lot. Do you see what I mean? And he was comfortable in doing it. The guy is just, and I think it's more the versatility side of it. He gives us so much options. He gives us so much options in what we can do with him, how we can utilize him. And I think some people still say, yeah, but he's not a DM. Well, yeah, like, listen, he will free up Enzo. One of the biggest keys in everything that we need to do moving forward and being successful in terms of creating, along with others like Reece James, is releasing Enzo Fernandez. If we release Enzo Fernandez and we give him more freedom further up the pitch, and he can have it in his mind, knowing that he's still got to defend and come back and help Caicedo and stuff, but knowing that when he gets the ball, he ain't got to worry like he had done in the last season of being the guy that has to sit, because he's got someone that's just made for it, and he can do a lot of it because he's able to clear up. It allows Enzo Fernandez to be unlocked, and we have to unlock him to his full potential. But it also unlocks Caicedo, because Caicedo then plays in his natural position. And I think Caicedo next to Enzo is an amazing pivot. It is. Anyone thinks that's a bad pivot, you're mad. And then if you add, let's say, a Latvia with it, I say Latvia, but Lavia. If you had a Lavia with it, let's just say, if we did, yeah, you got yourself a midfield there for years, for example. So, and I do think we're going to end up getting another midfielder in with him. But he's so important. He's so important in terms of what we're going to see moving forward, and he's a massive player. He's a player we have to get done. He is a massive player. He's a player that we need to, we obviously need to get done. Guys, there's nearly 500 of you here right now. Smash the like buttons. Let's get these likes up, please. If you've not hit the thumb now. Big up Dan, the boy. Dan, how you doing, bro? We need to get this. We do, bro. We do. And obviously, we spoke about it on the space. We were doing Twitter spaces yesterday with Dan. Go and follow Dan on Twitter, guys, if you can. He's a good guy as well. Dan, I might drop you the link, actually, if you want to join. If you want to come in for a bit. We're just talking a little bit about everything yesterday. So I'll send you a link quickly. If you're free, more than welcome to come in, my man. But yeah, it doesn't mean specifically that we're not going to get anyone else because we've got him. It just means that, we've now got a player that is now in our team who is able to offer us something that we've not had for so long, because now we have got someone that can hold the line and sit, and trying to find that area there, and allow Enzo to move forward now without the worry. And then we can go and find someone that's more specialized if we have to. And we might go and do that. We might go and find someone, big up Saviour, that's more specialized to go in with that. You could maybe see like I said, a Lavia or a Kone or whoever to come in that role. Santos is another option. Someone said here as well. He's probably better than Latvia, to be fair. Yeah, but he's different because they're too different for me, because of what I've seen of Santos. He's more of an 8. Someone that can play in the pivot, but he's a player that likes to be further forward. He's more effective to be forward. He scored 5. He arrives late and on the end of goals, and that's what I see of Santos. As what some Chelsea fans want is a DM that's specialised, that can sit and hold, and not really. What I think we need to understand is, I think the whole generation of 6s, whatever you want to call them, DMs, has changed now. And the way that we play football now was different than it was 10 years ago. And I'd rather have someone with the abilities of Caicedo in the team, as flexible, as versatile, as experienced. And people go, "Oh, he's only 21, but he's played Premier League." I would have took Caicedo over Ugarte all day. Why? Because he fits right in. You have no worries about having to fit him into the Premier League. And not only is he fitting in the Premier League, he's smashing the Premier League in his position at the moment. you bring in your guy, you've always got that worry that maybe it might just not work, or you might need adaptability time. Is that going to hold us back? These are all things that is fine. You still could have got him, but then to bring in a Caicedo brings in a player that just comes straight in and ticks for me. The biggest question with Caicedo isn't about his experience, because we've seen it. I've sent you a Twitter message, Dan. Check your Twitter. Isn't specifically about how is he going to fit in. The biggest questions about Caicedo is taking the step up to a big team, big club, who have different challenges and expectations than for example, Brighton does. And from that, can he then, from 21 on his way up to making 24, 25 when he hits his prime, can he get it better? Can he improve? Can he grow? Can he be better than what he is? Because he's a very polished player, still very young, and there's lots for him to still learn. But his experience comes because of playing in the Premier League. So I just think Caicedo is a really good option for us, especially for Enzo as well. And yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. I really hope we get it done sooner rather than later, because I think that will just relieve a lot of Chelsea fans, that we've got in there. And then it's just looking forward to what we do next after him. Yeah, but there's not really much other news there on Caicedo. I mean, what I'd ask you guys, and there's 500 of you guys here in the chat at the moment, what I would ask you guys, how we get Dan in as well, big up Dan. Are you happy with the idea of Caicedo potentially coming to Chelsea? And secondly, who would be your next option in midfield as well? I mean, Dan, how are you, my man? How's everything?
Yes, mate. All good. All good. Yourself?
Oh, well, mate. Oh, well, we're having a good show today. We've got nearly 500 people in the chat, which is really good. Big love to every single one of you guys that are all here. Hit the likes. We've gone sort of through, and again, obviously, we spoke on the space yesterday, didn't we, about a lot of this, but we spoke about Mason Mount and all of the outgoings. We're kind of concentrating more on the incomings at the moment. Obviously, Caicedo, we spoke a bit about yesterday. Firstly, obviously, I'm going to probably ask you the same questions that I asked you yesterday, because it's a different crowd here, to be fair.
That's all right.
So I have to cover it. But what's your thoughts on the player himself coming to Chelsea? How do you rate him? Do you think he's a good enough player to come in and maybe release the likes of people like Enzo in having to worry about the defensive side of things as well? And what your overall thoughts with the deal?
Yeah, ledge player to be getting in, to be honest with you. I think you said it quite well then. He unlocks Enzo probably going forward, and I think that's what we need massively. Enzo's this player that we've signed that he's almost been limited for the last 6 months since we had him to the end of the season. I feel like bringing in someone that can do the defensive job and allow him to push forward and unlock his creativity, it'll be exciting for us to see. He's mobile. He'll get around the pitch. He'll press high. I think if we were looking and comparing him to like a direct replacement, it's the Kante replacement, to be honest with you. I'm not sure it's Cover's replacement. I'm not sure it's like Ruben, or if Conor Gallagher leaves. I think it's the Kante replacement in Caicedo, to be honest with you.
No, I hear you. I also said that in all of it, even though I get that comment, for me, he feels more like a Michael Essien.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
That's what I was saying. And when I say that, I mean, and I think it would probably be more his versatility. We saw him play right back, and he done it quite comfortably. And what did Essien used to do when he was at Chelsea? Play right back. But, their presence was so big. Even Essien's, I remember when he was at Chelsea, when he first came in, he was unbelievable. It was only when he got injured that he started, he fell off slightly. But if he would have just stayed fit, it'd have been unbelievable. And you look at Caicedo, he's 21 years old. He's played 2 years in the Premier League already. Some of his stats are ridiculous. Obviously, I was just reading Vince's comments here. He's only 21. He's clocked 90% pass possession completion as well. Obviously, he's got elite defensive stats, apparently. Ball recovery, tackle, interceptions as well. He's not been recorded once since he's been there. And he plays at a high level in multiple positions. It just reminds me everything of Michael Essien, Dan. I'll be honest with you.
Do you know what? Everything bar the long shots and outrageous goals might be there with that comparison, I think you're onto something. I think he will add an energy that I feel like this Chelsea team's been lacking, especially in a team with a direction I think he's essential. It just needs to be done. I'm worried that the longer it goes on, the more money Brighton are going to start asking for and all that rubbish. So if we can get it done, I just think the players that are going for 100 million, if 80 million is the number, then we just need to get it done.
100%, I agree with you. We'll come back to a little bit more about obviously Caicedo's and everything else as well. But I want to quickly get your thoughts on the board and everything they've done up to this point in regards to players, the outgoings of players, the sell-ins of players, the amounts that we've managed to sell them for as well. They've got something here. I'm just trying to find it quickly for us. Yeah, so I had it up earlier on, which is quite obviously this don't include N'Golo Kante because he's left as well. But when you look at where we are at the moment, obviously you have to take off 8 million at the moment because Hakim Ziyech has decided to do a boomerang again on us and fail his medical, which means he's still a
unbelievable, isn't it?
Unbelievable. But £200 million worth of sales has been made on the players that you're looking at there. Some fans are very still upset with certain individuals being sold. The Mason Mounts, some Kai Havertz, Kovacic, for example. What's your thoughts on the board's movement so far and what they've done up to this point?
Do you know what? Up until, I would say, a couple of things they've done with the recruitment team and this summer, I genuinely wasn't too sure. I thought some big decisions were made that weren't great. Obviously, the Tuchel sacking felt weird. The Potter appointment felt even weirder. I just felt we were all making moves the board were making moves in the wrong direction for Chelsea Football Club. We've seen so many cutthroat moves before, but they've gone in the correct direction. I think most Chelsea fans were agreed on that. This board has completely split the fan base. Some people are buying into the potential in the next 10 years, and some people just can't get over the difference between this board and the Abramovich era.
Yeah.
This board this summer has started rectifying. I think anyone who's departed are people in the team and in the squad that couldn't get over the difference in the two. It's a different club now. Bowley needs to build his era. He needs players coming in that buy into his project that he's going to have for Chelsea, the recruitment team's project and the manager's project. So I think he's decided and looked at these players that have ultimately had success at Chelsea and seen how it works one way. They can't believe that it could work another way. And I think him getting rid of these sort of clears it out and allows for like a new building of a new era at Chelsea. So I'm looking forward to it. I've seen a lot on Twitter, people worried about the next few years at Chelsea. I think it's going to be a bumpy ride. I think if we get the right players in and don't meddle with it too much, they're young, so they're going to be sort of there for the foreseeable, hopefully. And I just hope we don't turn into a selling club, to be honest with you. But the outgoings this summer, pretty much all spot on. None of them wanted to be there. It's the right time to move them on.
Do you think Mason Mount didn't want to be here from what you've heard?
Do you know what? It's coming out, isn't it? I saw Olivia Bazaglo's having rows with pretty much everyone. So she's obviously on the inside. She seems to know a lot about Mason himself and as a person, and she's adamant that he didn't want to go. Look, I'll be honest, Saka's just signed a 200 grand a week deal at Arsenal with bonuses and add-ons up to 300, and I just can't imagine that Chelsea weren't offering something similar to that package. I think Mason had a poor season, which just didn't help. I don't think he downed tools. I think he was injured, and it just all went a bit wrong for him, and his World Cup wasn't exactly amazing either. I don't think he ever wanted to really leave, but I also think that he'd sort of grown apart from the board and he did want to leave if Chelsea was going to be a different club to what he's known forever.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd still be in blue, mate, at the end of the day.
And I said it yesterday, I think, and I've already said it on this show as well, I do think it takes two to tango, and I think I think it's very hard for some Chelsea fans to take the emotional side out of it because they have that emotional connection to an individual that they really like. But at the end of the day, the truth being told, when you look at the Man United offer, 350 to 400k. Sorry, what was it? 250 to 300k offer on a 6-year deal. We were being told part of the reason why he weren't signing was because we was offering him a long-term contract.
Yeah,
that obviously isn't true. So like money talk. At the end of the day, whether you like it or not, the truth is money talks. Like it literally is. He values himself for what he did. I think in the first 2 years. I think the owners have got a structure that they want to follow and abide to in terms of wage. I don't think that they're trying to offer him less than what Reece James has. I don't think that was too much of it, because some people say, well, if Reece James is getting 250, why isn't Mason Mount getting it? I just think when you look at what he's agreed to, I think there was the potentials that he probably wanted more than maybe that others, than others are already on, and they just probably weren't in the position to do that because of the amount of work they've still got to do. And obviously you've got players going out the door, but then you've got a flip side of incomings, players coming in, and then you've got to work out wage structures, and you want it to then fit your wage structure because you've got a strict structure and how you want to play things, and you're trying to get all these different players in under that as well. And then you've got one player saying, well, actually, I want this much. And it's like, well, if we do that, it might affect this. So I think there's a lot, and people forget, people want to slander the owners and moan at the owners and say, yeah, they don't know what they're fucking doing. They're just out of order. He's proper Chelsea and everything else and whatever. But, at the end of the day, I think unfortunately, we just have to look at it in the hindsight of that. Chelsea's run as a business like any other business, taking out the personal side of it, because all we care about is what we see on the pitch and our club. Let's be serious. But the owners look at it as a business at the end of the day, and they've got to kind of keep it functioning. And at the end of the day, it sucks. I didn't want to see him leave. I'll be honest with you. At the same time, it doesn't bother me that he's gone. I'm not really one that really was too much worried about it, like some others were. But I don't know. Maybe what isn't nice is seeing him in the Man United shirt, but he chose to do that. At the end of the day, he chose to go Man United. He could have signed a 220k deal and gone, Joe, what? Let me prove myself. Yeah, we had a shit season. Let me just sign it a little bit lower. But this didn't come back to it. Let me force myself into the thing. Do you get what I mean? That 100%. Wasn't the case. So I don't know.
I can't see why he couldn't sign a 1-year extension, put it on 200, prove himself for a season, and go, there you go, 250, 300, please. Like, thank you very much. I just that's why I think when there's calls for like him snaking us and like letting the fans down, I think there's no smoke without fire. But like you said, there's two to tango. They're saying today that if we ever have to pay the bonuses that he's due, or Man United could be paid to us, that we'll be completely embarrassed for how like good are these. Yet image rights as well. A lot of people keep saying that image rights are a massive problem. Like, United have done it before, though. United are happy to pay like the ridiculous wages. It sets a precedence that allows players to mug off the club. Look at the likes of Pogba, Lukaku. There's so many players that have gone to United on ridiculous wages. Sanchez, Sancho, they just down tools. And unfortunately, I don't think Mason Mount's that type of player, but Man United have had that happen so many times. And actually, it's a place where I don't want Chelsea to allow that to happen. So if he don't want to be here, he don't want to be here. It's just sad seeing him in a United kit. It reminds me of the Mata situation. Matic probably not so much, but when Mata went, 2-time player of the season, leaving to join Man United, it just hits you a little bit low, to be honest.
100%. Big up T1 with the donation to the channel. He says, buy the best players in the world and win 3 titles, or win 1 title with Cobham players. He's basically saying he's happy that Mount and all these lot are actually going. He wants us to go out and be effective and buy players. And look, big up, thanks for the donation too. And for me, I've said it. I've been very clear of what I've said. There's 2 major things that I really want to see going into next season. One, I want to see us. It's probably more than 2, but one of the main things is having an identity, a game plan, structure, and playing football for once. Because I'm fed up of watching us play with no plan, and you can see it in how we're playing as well. There's just no idea what we're doing. And 2, I want killers. I want killers up front, man. I want people that when we do create, and people say we don't create, we do create enough. I've seen us creating in games. We just don't have the players to put it in the back of the net. João Felix, I remember, hit the post 4 times in a row at one point. Kai Havertz headering over bars from 2 yards out. It's like, they've all contributed to like part of the issues that we've had in last season and not winning games or drawing games, for example. And Pulisic's the same, and Ziyech and all of them. And I'm just fed up of that. I'm fed up of seeing that. I want players in here that if we create, as soon as they get a sniff in the box, they know where the net is, and they're going to put it in the back of the net. And that's what Poch needs to be successful. But what Poch also needs to be successful is he has these systems. He's going to probably stick to the 4 at the back, but it's also finding the right profile of players to fit that as well, so that he knows that he's got, that it ticks, that it works, it's consistent, it flows. We have an 11. We're not changing the team every week, and we have done and gone sitting there going, who's going to play next? Who's going to be in the team? Because we never had a core 11. and we haven't done for a very long time. So, these are all things that are equally needs to be answered along with what we're doing now, and we need to get sorted if we're going to be successful going into next season. So big up Couch Critic in the building. What you saying, bro?
Yo, what's up, guys? Been a minute, man. I know. Yeah, we've all been like watching the news and whatnot, trying to figure out what's going on with the club. And as you say, like we haven't had an 11, but for me, deeper than that, we haven't had a spine.
Yeah,
like that is more important to me. The fact that we don't have a spine, and it starts in net. We need a keeper. We don't have a keeper right now that is good enough to help us challenge the league. Our center back pairings right now, we haven't figured out what our preferred center back pairing is. I mean, we can say Thiago Silva, but how long are we going to be relying on Thiago Silva? I like Fofana, but he hasn't shown that he's ready to take the mantle and be the leader in that back line. Like, he makes a lot of mistakes. And then you go into the midfield. I like Enzo too. I think he's great. He's better further forward. We need somebody in the middle that can solidify the middle of the pitch, play with the energy that is required to, take control of a midfield. And that may be Caicedo. I'm hoping that he comes in. I think that he can certainly help with there, but it can't just be him. We need more people that can play with energy in that midfield so we can take control of it. How I feel about Lavia. I think that he'd be a great signing. I think him with Caicedo and Enzo would be just tasty, right?
Yeah.
And then when we go further up the pitch, we still need a striker, like a proper number 9, a recognizable number 9. I've been banging on about Nkunku for years now, like at least a couple of years now. But he's not an out number 9 as much as he's sort of like a 9-10, So yeah, there's a lot of work to do, man. Which is kind of the reason why I'm like, I don't think that everyone thinks that next year, everything's gonna be better. We're gonna be back in it. I'm not convinced. I think that we need a lot of work. This is major surgery,
Yeah. No, I agree, and it's surgery that we thought we had resolved years ago. Where we keep spending money and we're like, yeah, we've improved now and it's worked, and then it doesn't, And this is the big real key with it all. You've got yourself a manager in now. Back the manager, back the manager fully, because I think that's important. I know, Dan, you spoke, and it's probably worth actually talking about what you said, and we'll talk about Poch in a second. You mentioned about Poch and his specific signings in the past, and them not. Well, obviously, we'll get to that in a second. But let's just quickly read this super chat. Sean, big up to you. Says the notion of needing Cobham DNA players who know the club is BS when our past teams, such as the 14-15, only had John Terry and the rest weren't Cobham. He's probably right.
Yeah, but the difference there is like John Terry is Chelsea. What I mean? So he was able to instill the qualities that you need to win at Chelsea. We don't have anybody like that at the club right now. And like
Thiago Silva, but he's
I don't think that Thiago Silva identifies with the club the same way as a John Terry, the same way as like a Drogba.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that'd be debated at the Bridge though. Like Thiago Silva is a god amongst men currently at the Bridge.
Oh no, without question. But I don't know if he has the Chelsea ethos. What I mean? Like he can't necessarily be the guy that goes into the dressing room and like galvanizes the team, saying like this is what Chelsea's all about, because he hasn't been there long enough, right? As a leader on the pitch, as a guy that can like be dependable in the back line and whatnot, without question.
That should be more Reece James, shouldn't it? Really, when you're talking about the
absolutely.
DNA,
Absolutely.
That's the player.
Mason Mount, when he's so often injured, what do you do, right?
Don't forget that.
Yeah, Aspilicueta. Yeah, I think over time, even if you haven't got the DNA of Cobham, I still think that you can grow into being important leaders of your club. And Enzo Fernandez, for me, I look at him. I think if he stays long enough and he gets the hunger and his heart's still here with Chelsea in the next couple of years, I think he's another one that's a leader, in my opinion. You just see him on the pitch. He's full of it. Big up to Sinak as well. Big love, bro. He says, true, we need major surgery. However, I think the squad we are building actually meshes together. Problem is there will be growing pains with the youth.
Absolutely.
Got a point there as well. I agree. Big love for the super chat there as well. I want to just quickly go into Pochettino. We spoke about outgoings, incomings, and obviously that will change as it goes on. But Dan, we spoke on the space yesterday about Pochettino specifically, the type of manager he is, and I was, as you know already, think both of us were kind of still a bit on the fence with Pochettino. He wasn't our sort of first choice. I don't think it was the first choice for Couch as well, actually.
Nah.
To be fair, we were all sort of in the same bracket. It was only Don, wasn't it, that really wanted him out of all of the managers. But Dan, you highlighted something on Pochettino, which I think is quite interesting to obviously talk about. You were talking about decision making, strengthening squads, bringing in players, and having these sort of eye for talent. I mean, yeah, tell us about Pochettino. What your thoughts are on that?
Yeah, so I'll be honest straight away. I wasn't keen on Poch. He was never my first choice. Let's be honest. I don't think he was the club's and the board's first choice either. We obviously went for other names quite publicly, and obviously it ended up that they weren't to be. And now Luis Enrique's just got the PSG job as well, which sickens me a little bit. But I won't be sold on Pochettino till we're sat there back in Europe, to be honest with you. If he does anything less than that with the money that he's going to have spent, I think he would have failed. I think that he's always spoken too highly about with what he did at Tottenham. I think he did well. I think you can't deny that what he did at Tottenham was good. When you look at what other better managers have done at Tottenham, they haven't done as well as what Poch did. I just think that actually when you look at the players that he had, arguably to have not won anything with Spurs is almost incredible. I think it might be a different story at Chelsea. We're a different club. We do win things, and Pochettino could get his first trophy in England at Chelsea. The recruitment worries me slightly if Pochettino's allowed an input. I mentioned yesterday on a video, I had a look through 27 players he signed in total at Spurs. And if you go through the list, honestly, it just takes seconds to Google the list. But we're looking at players like Ndombele, Fazio, Janssen, Stambouli, Wanyama, Clinton and G, Gazaniga, Wimmer, Foyth, Yedlin, and Kudu. These players cost fortunes. I mean, Ndombele was their record signing. If you go through that list, there is probably Wanyama who actually managed to sort of cement himself into Tottenham's team and play every now and then. He wasn't like a guaranteed starter, maybe for a small period of time. He's also, it's fair to say, he's also been involved in sort of bringing in Trippier, Lucas Moura, Son, Alderweireld, Dyer, Dele Alli, and developing those players as well as Harry Kane. So it's a real mixed bag. And I think the recruitment with Poch probably needs to be left to the recruitment team. A lot of people have been saying if a manager's in, a manager should be completely in control of who he's bringing in. But I think that's an old school method now. That isn't the case at many clubs at all anymore.
No, that's true. And, the thing about that, too, is they don't even give him the manager title. They're calling him head coach.
Yeah.
That
tells
you
what
the intentions are, right?
Yeah.
That tells you what the intentions are. So I agree. I 100% agree. And like the reason why I wasn't necessarily too keen on Poch was, there's a multitude of reasons, but like mainly if we don't hit the ground running, like I can just see the consternation and like the fallout in the terraces. I can just see it. You go on a little run where you lose 2-3 games, all of a sudden we have this Spurs manager, we're becoming the Spurs, and it's just going to be like discontent everywhere. And I just don't want to see that again. That was part of the biggest problem that I saw this season was the fact that there was no unity throughout the entire club, whether it was on the pitch and the terraces, anywhere. It was just a problem. And I mean, I don't want to put it out there, but I can see that happening again under Poch with less patience than they had for Potter, to be honest.
I hear that. My question marks with him are always, I just thought he done well at Spurs, but he had the big step of PSG. And as much as people want to downplay it because it's PSG and they haven't, I know managers won Champions League there and all that. The fact that he didn't win a league title under him just kind of made me feel a bit like, does this go with all of the other issues that he had with Tottenham when he was there and he wasn't able to achieve there? The difference with the PSG team, though, is that he had bigger characters, he had better players. And yeah, he won a cup, didn't he? He won the French Cup, I think he did, or whatever. But
he won the league the next year.
He won the league. I was going to say,
year.
but he obviously lost it to Lille the first season, which is diabolical, right?
And he lost it to Lille the first season, which is just that. I don't know. I'm not. My biggest question with Poch is not that he won't get us playing in a system because he has a system, and that actually makes me happy because now we're going to actually see us playing in a certain way, and then. Like I said to you, they're going to have more time on the training grounds, which means they're going to be able to implement what they need to do more with the players, more time for that, hopefully we start seeing that more on the pitch, and we have more of like a consistent 11 rather than having to switch and shuffle the team so much, which we have done in the past. My biggest question with him is, number one, he has to get his Champions League. I agree. I think it also depends on what we do from now to the end of the window, and the recruitment side of it as well, what we do bringing in. But then it's also, if we do get to that, the next step would be, is he good enough to then push us that next ladder up, which is challenging for titles, so Man City and this, that, and the other. And that's where I kind of have a little bit of a question, because when you look at the successful managers that have done it in the past, so you look at the Contes, you look at the Mourinhos and whatever, they all had that, I say per se, but they always had that killer-driven instinct to always want to be the best, right? Now, I'm not saying Pochettino's not wanting to be the best, but you can kind of see it, you feel it, right? When you see managers at the end, and the players pick up from that energy, and it gives us that move to, like, win a game that we're maybe drawing 0-0 in the 90th minute, we score, and it's a different, and you go on to win the Champions, like the Premier League or whatever. Like, these are the little things, and that sounds really stupid. I'm being very like intricate with things right now, but these are the little things that I need to see if Poch has got in him to be able to do with Chelsea.
You say it sounds stupid and it's a little thing, but like that, when you're at the top of the footballing world, those little things make a big difference. The type of manager that instills winning, and won't accept anything but, like those little nuances and details go a far way between deciding who's going to win and who's going to finish, 5th, 6th. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot that separates, the top level of football. Like, there's not a whole lot. Mentality is a big part of it. It's a big part of it. Like with Jose. Remember when Jose was like talking about eggs, and he's like, yeah, like we can make an omelet, but like you need the grade A eggs to win. You know what I mean? And like that's essentially what's being said here. Like, yeah, I can enjoy my B eggs, and do well with that. But if you really want to contend and win, you need the right mentality. You need the right types of players with that mentality as well. And the thing about like Jose and Conte, his year when he was Chelsea, those guys took on the persona of the club in a way that I've never seen before. You know what I mean? Just like they became Chelsea. You know what I mean? I'm probably speaking, I don't know if I'm articulating myself correctly, but like when you thought about Chelsea, the first person that you thought of was Jose. When you thought of Chelsea under Conte, like he was the most. He was the
saying they were a figure, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they were figures. He was the figurehead. And I don't know if you get that same sort of like. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But I don't know if I can say that with
People are mentioning Arteta, and obviously he had a bad first 2 years. But one thing I would say about Arteta is that he's a character, and you see him on and off the pitch. He's very articulate. He's very high energy. But then I also asked the same question, because we were talking about it in the space yesterday, and people were saying, well, for us to be successful and catch the best, we have to have experience. We need to have lots of experience in the team, leaders, we're along with these players, and that's going to help us get there. But then I referred to Arsenal, and I said, look, what made Arsenal so good last season? Because when you look at them, it wasn't that they had so many leaders on the pitch or experience. They had players that have played Premier League for a while, don't get me wrong, but what worked so well for Arsenal last season, the main reason, was that they had a system, they had a structure, they all understood their roles, and obviously fitness and keeping it fit was important. They lost at points last season and whatever, but it was different because, when you look at the typical John Terry Lampards, the people that would maybe shout and something, they didn't have as much of it. And when you look at the Arsenal when they had Odegaard as their captain, like, do you know what I mean? And they got us, all right, they didn't win the league, but they got to the levels that they did. It just goes to show, with a good structure, a good system, an understanding of what you're doing, trusting your manager trusting the players that he's putting on the pitch, that you can make things happen. You really can. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Poch moves in going into next season. I'm looking forward to the new. I always do new seasons. Look forward to the new season, Chelsea and whatever. But it's more intrigued to see how we do. We've got Liverpool first, right? First game out of everyone.
Cheers.
They seem to be signing good players at the moment, don't they? For the way they're moving, so they're doing their work quite soon as well. Some people saying about the striking area, and when you look at the striking area, it's not been spoke about much at the moment. I'll be honest with you, Couch, you know this. I wanted Ivan Toney. I just think he was perfect structure of striker for Chelsea. And when you look at Drogba and Costa and how we play and whatever, I just think him with an Nkunku everyone else running in around him would have just been perfect. The link-up play, the moving off the ball. All right, he's not like a clinical Harry Kane, scores you 35 goals a season or whatever, but he still contributes to goals. But Dan, I mean, the striking area, obviously he's got the ban, Ivan Toney. Was he your original first choice when it came to it, or have you got anyone else?
Yeah. He still is. I'll be honest. I think the ban's long, but it's not unreasonable when we've signed the striker. Now we've got a striker in, so it's not like we're going into the season with just Broja. Like we've got another striker in Jackson. I just think Ivan Toney is the perfect profile for Chelsea. I just think. By the way, I don't know what I'm seeing. Someone saying Watkins over, not a chance. But yeah, honestly, I think Toney fits the profile that Chelsea require in a striker perfectly. And I know he takes a lot of penalties, but Chelsea get a lot of penalties, and having someone that can put them away. Look how many goals Jorginho got every season putting penalties away. We need someone like that. The Bridge is a tight, close pitch, and players who have been mobile and looking to get in behind haven't succeeded too much at Chelsea. A big striker who's got a physical presence that brings other players into play, is good technically and can bully the defence is what Chelsea thrive on because of how the Bridge is. It's tight. The fans are close to the pitch. It's not the biggest pitch in the league. And Chelsea don't and aren't notorious for bossing games out all the time as well.
Yeah, I agree with
that. In terms of options are now available, putting Toney aside, because I just, if we go for him, I'd be really happy, but putting him aside for a second, obviously Osimhen is one that is heavily linked. Again, you know, his price tag is a bit heavy. Vlahovic is another.
Bit heavy? They're talking about 200 million euros, man.
I know, it's ridiculous, you know. And then you've got, someone said Mitrovic. There's just, you know, and then someone else said, what's his name? The guy from Borussia Mönchengladbach that plays up front as well. Kone, is it? No, is it not Kone? Is it? What's his name?
Kolo Muani.
Yeah, him.
No, yeah, where's he at? He's Frankfurt, maybe.
Frankfurt, yeah, that guy as well.
There is one though, but I think he's gone into Milan. The guy from Gladbach.
Oh, you're talking about Thuram?
That might be it. Yeah.
I mean, what do you do here? Because there's not a massive array of options. Harry Kane looks like he's going to Bayern Munich. I mean, he would have probably been a great option for us. But I mean, what do you do here? What do we do?
We shouldn't let Harry Kane go without a fight, by the way. We should be on the phone to Daniel Levy, just giving him double whatever Bayern Munich offer.
That will never happen.
It will never happen. But do you know what? I see a clip with Harry Redknapp, and he said that Levy would sell his grandma if the price was right. And I just wonder, but obviously they probably wouldn't want to sell. And I don't know whether Harry Kane would ever join us. But obviously
you remember the Modric situation, right?
I do, yeah, of course.
We just kept on upping and upping. It got to the point we got to 50 million, and they still. And then they end up selling him the next year to Real Madrid for 35.
Yeah, they'll have our sloppy seconds though, wouldn't they? Spurs?
It was also the Willian situation where the medical, he was there and Chelsea took him, hijacked him last minute, which really pissed them off as well. So there's a couple of things we've done to them, which is not.
Bowley seems to be rebuilding bridges with some clubs that have been a bit stained before as well, I'd say. So
yeah, with
you just
money.
never know. But obviously, I don't think Harry Kane is realistic to look at, and we need to be realistic here because we need to solve this solution. I see people talking about Højlund from Atalanta. I think Osimhen, it's a shame that the numbers are just so ridiculous because with those numbers come a lot of pressure. And if we were to pay it, I think he'd be good. I don't think he'd be exceptional. But obviously, if he didn't live up, it's another player that Chelsea have signed for ridiculous money who hasn't lived up and the pressure's got to them. And I just don't know if I can take that again as a Chelsea fan.
I mean, how could you live up to a contract that big anyways? Like, what do you have to do to
Haaland? You've got to be Haaland level, haven't you? If you
exactly, and that's ridiculous, right? Because he's not going to be that, right? I think you got a decent. I think you're on the right track with Toney, and for me, we're building a long-term project here. We're not looking at 1 year, 2 years. You know, if you think Toney is the right fit going forward for the next 4, 5, 6 years, and you can probably get him at a discount now because of the situation that he's in. Why not? I mean, yeah, it sucks that we're not going to have an out-and-out number 9 for like the first 6 months of the season. But if the long-term goal is to just be better over time, then why not? You know, like, I don't know. I think if the number is right, if it's not a crazy number, it's worth the risk. It's the same thing with Diego Costa when he went to where did he go to Atletico? from Chelsea. He couldn't play for the first 6 months because they couldn't register him, or for what reason. And then
I mean, what we could also do is play Jackson with Nkunku. We've got Jackson in there at the end of the day. He's going to have that. And then in January, go and get Tony.
Yeah.
We have to. That's the only other option we might have to take. If Tony is the main priority, because the man that maybe we did want is too much, let's just say, for example. I just don't think we should. In the past, we've rushed in this situation. We've done it with Lukaku. We just went, we scored loads of goals in Europe, top goal scorer, won the league with Inter Milan. Let's just bring him back, 100 mil, done. And it will solve our problems. And then when we put him in the team, it didn't work. Because why? Like I told people why I didn't want him back then. Profile, everything just was not right for us at the time. It was just not the right signing, in my opinion. Then he gone and done it. His documentary and everything as well on top of that, which didn't help.
By the way, Willian's just left Fulham, and that'll probably mean Callum Hudson-Odoi moves to Fulham, by the way.
Interesting stuff. We'll keep an eye on that. Again, 15 million, I think it was. They were looking for Callum Hudson-Odoi potentially going over there, so keep an eye out on that. But I think we just need to make sure we go for the right profile of striker. That's the real aim. I don't think we should rush and just get anyone, because we need to have someone that's a focal, like that's just scores goals. But we need to understand him as the profile and how he works under Poch and etc. So if Tony's it, use Jackson. I don't think Jackson, that I've watched enough of him, but he's there. You spent money on him. He's going to have to play some games. You play him with Nkunku and whatever. You mix him around, and whatever else comes of it, you wait till January and you get Tony. Maybe that might have to be the option, but I don't know. I mean, Don, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. You look tan, bro.
Yo.
Yeah, I know. I've still got brown. Still brown from my trips to Italy, bro.
This guy, man, is globe trotting, man. I'm telling you. Every time I talk to this guy, he's in a different part of the world, man.
So what was the conversation? Is it on strikers?
We talk about strikers at the moment. Obviously, we all here agree we wanted Tony. Obviously, we've got Jackson at the moment. It leaves the striker options very limited, with Osimhen being quite expensive, as we know. What would you do in this situation?
It's a tough one, man. It's a tough one because, when I spoke to I don't know if you guys know him, Mo. He's an Inter fan, right? And he's basically said Vlahovic hasn't been good the past season. That was someone that I looked at as an option. He wasn't my number one, but I was thinking, okay, if we can't get Tony, if we can't get Osimhen, maybe drop down to Vlahovic. But after what he was saying and just a few things I've been hearing lately, I'm not sure. I definitely don't want Lautaro. I don't want him. He doesn't move me at all. So yeah, the only person realistically that I want is Osimhen. Realistically, if we can't get him,
200 million euros, that's not realistic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna have to pay that figure though, innit? Let's be real. There's gonna be some room for negotiation. Maybe if we make bigger upfront payments. I don't know how we get it done, but he's the only person that I look at now and say, yeah, I want him. I want him. There isn't anyone else that moves me like that in the market right now, But I know what you said before, Jem, about Tony, bringing him in. I'll be up for something like that, to be fair. Maybe just play Jackson until then. But again, it's a big risk. It is a massive risk. And I feel like Chelsea right now aren't really trying to take those sort of risks. You know what I mean? After the last season that we had, I just feel like the recruitment team aren't going to want to take such a risk. Because if we do that, and Jackson's not, again, popping off from the beginning, it's going to be back to square one. It's why didn't we bring in a proper striker? Do you know what I mean? So it's a tough one, Jem. It's a tough one because the striking market isn't great. Harry Kane, we're not going to go in for him this summer.
I think we should try if he's going to leave. I agree with Dan. I think we should just try it. I mean, if we
I want us to. I do want us to because I would take him happily.
Maybe we could take Levy out for some good food, great meal or something. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't see how we get that one done. As much as he'll be a top signing because he's Premier League proven. I know he's not the youngest, but Harry Kane, you can tell he's a professional guy. He takes care of himself. Look how long Ryan Giggs played for. You know what I'm saying? So
how much would he cost? No.
What for Chelsea, boy? We're looking at over 100%.
120.
If we try going for him, yeah, it'll definitely be over 100. I'd probably say maybe 105, 110. I'd say.
I reckon more.
I reckon more too.
Nah, I don't think it'll be more than that. He's in his last year.
Yeah, but it's Spurs, isn't it? Like you boys said, they're just never going to sell unless it's a ridiculous figure to sort them out for the next 5 years.
Yeah. Thing is, if we're going to spend that much money on Harry Kane, we might as well get Osimhen because he's younger. So
but
I wouldn't want to spend. He is proven.
Not in the Prem.
Not in the Prem, yeah, but he's a proven goal scorer, though, isn't it? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but
He only
McCarthy
scored
was
two
a
last-
proven goal scorer in Italy, and then
I'm
came to
not.
Chelsea.
I'm going to be real. Like it's like you said, Don. I don't think the striker market's that great, and the prices are inflated because the market's not that great. Like you're basically, the market dictates the price, right? If there's not a lot of strikers out there, then the price just gets ballooned, right? But with that said, I'm not 100% convinced with Osimhen either. Like I see qualities that I like in him, but man, I can't see, like, what does he have to do to live up to that contract? Like, even if it's just a more reasonable 120 million pound, you know what kind of striker he has to be to like live up to that contract? To be a guy that it's asking a lot, man. I don't mind the approach of trying to find the next one. Like, I think that might be a better suited way of going about it if we have to pay overs. Just find the next one. Use the scouting department. Find the next one. Don't be spending 120 million on a striker that we don't know is going to be able to live up to that contract.
The thing is, though, Couch, I get that point, but then if you're talking about finding the next one, that's where Jackson comes in. We're not going to sign another like unknown player from, I don't know, Brazil or something and bring him in and start ahead of Jackson. I think Jackson's that player that we're looking at to say he could be the next big player. People keep saying Drogba
as well, though.
Do you know what I mean? So we'll have to see. Like, I think Jackson, I've never watched him. I like what I've seen of him from the clips and that and the research that I've done. But yeah, the market, the striking market just isn't great, man. It's just not great at the moment. It's so hard. It's so hard to say who I want. Like, apart from Osimhen and Kane.
Yeah, before we move on to another quick topic, AJ, how you doing, bro?
Yes, AJ. Well,
Yes, AJ.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Well, go on.
Good, mate. Good.
We're just talking about we were just quickly talking about the striking options, AJ. Like, Tony was our original choice. Osman maybe a bit too much. Don seems to think it may be worth it. It's just a very small, limited market of individuals available. Do we wait and just use Jackson and maybe go for Tony in January? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Man, like Tony is the proper Chelsea striker, man. That's the type of striker that works for Chelsea. But I like Jackson. This is the first time I'm hearing of him. Since we've been linked with him, I like what I see. Obviously, his clips. So you can edit them and make it look good. But he looks like he got the tools to make it as like a proper striker. So we got Broha and Kunku. I mean, there's no, like, again, you guys said it, there's no real standout target besides Osimhen. So, and I mean, unless we can get Harry Kane, I saw you guys say we should throw a bid at him just to see what it does. I mean, that's not a bad idea, but we don't have UCL. So I think that's the only problem right there. Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think that's going to be a deal breaker for a player like Kane right now? I don't think it will.
Absolutely.
Kane?
I don't think it will. I don't think it will be, though, because like if you think about it, I know Harry Kane obviously wants to win big trophies, but he wants to win anything. He wants to leave with something. So us being out of the Champions League for one season and still winning a trophy potentially this season and working with a manager that in and out, I think that's still quite attractive. And you don't have to move from London. Do you know what I mean? Right. So I don't see it being a deal breaker. Like, oh no, I'm not going to go Chelsea because they're not in the Champions League. There's still a lot of things that
he might not want to go to Chelsea because it's Spurs. That's probably
but the rivalry between Chelsea and Spurs ain't as deep as Arsenal and Spurs. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's deep. We hate each other, but I think it's one of them ones where it's like it's not as bad as him going to Arsenal. So if the money's put on the table, we offer this guy, let's say $350 a week. Poch, really, really persuades him to come. There's a realistic option there because Kane will take any trophy he can get right now. Not just.
Can you imagine having Harry Kane and Nkunku up front together?
Oh my gosh,
we'd win the league, guaranteed.
Harry Kane Harry Kane and Nkunku up front. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, that'd be unbelievable, wouldn't it? Honestly, like I can't let Harry Kane go to another team without us picking up the phone. Especially with Poch as the manager. Like it's just got to happen. I see people talking about Vlahovic, by the way. I'm not up for that at all. I've watched him a few times and he ain't it. He looks clumsy on the ball. He's a big guy that isn't physical in the air as well. Like he thinks he rates himself with his feet. I think I'm just not having him. I think you boys are spot on with the striker market. It's just not great. There's no definite player. So maybe you ride it out with Jackson. He's like our Demba Ba replacement, sort of. That's the vibe I'm getting from that. Like a guy that can come in and do the job.
Tammy Abraham.
Yeah. Do you know what? Like, if Tammy hadn't got that injury, I think he would have been potentially coming back to Chelsea. And I don't think that's perfect in any way, but I just got a feeling that might have happened.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, Jackson, like we've said a few times, Jackson looks like a more polished version of Tammy. Like a lot of the things that I've seen Jackson do in the clips, I've seen Tammy do, but to like a lesser extent, if that makes sense. So I'm not overly judging this guy because I haven't watched the full 90.
We need to see.
The only way you can kind of make a real decision on like real description of a player in terms of the decision making is actually watching the full 90. So I don't know about his decision making. I don't know the ins and outs of his game. Do you know what I mean? But just looking at it from the face value, he does look like a good find. And 35 million euros, that's not bad. That's not bad business at all.
I think it'd be interesting to see how he's utilised in the team. Yellow Bus is here as well. Another Dan. His name's Dan as well. He's a big fan of Osman. I mean, we're going to move away from strikers in seconds, but obviously we were talking about Tony being our priority, Yellow Bus, but and at the same time we said that we think Osman's just going to be a bit too much money for us, mate. What's your thoughts on the striker options, quickly? Yellow Bus, are you there? Unmute yourself. You're on mute. He's probably doing something. All right, we'll move on from the striker option if he's not available. All right, cool. Let's move on to the wingers, because Ziyech was meant to have gone and he's like a boomerang and he's come back and hit us in the face because he's now got problems with his knee. But apparently he's going to have another medical in Madrid. So just, so fingers crossed, guys. Let's all pray to the Lord. This medical works and we get the 8 million we need for him. Pulisic is another one that AC Milan are talking to Chelsea on. We've been told today that that's about 10 million euros shy of what we want, which is around 28 million euros, which is about 24 million sterling, we've been told, which I think is fair for Christian Pulisic. They want to give us 18, which I think is quite rude, to be honest, on that note. And then you look at, obviously, them going, and obviously Havertz is gone, Mount's gone. We left with Mudryk and Madueke. Obviously, we've still got Sterling. Do you see us looking at any more wingers coming in, do you think? Do you think there's an opportunity that we might look to potentially strengthen it, or do you think it will be about just managing Madueke and Mudryk and then maybe just adding, like, I don't know, Sterling in the equation? And who else we got? I'm trying to think. Is there anyone else that we've got in there with them? I don't think there is there? I mean, do you think we'll need anyone else?
I think we should just keep the core how it is right now. Like, we need to work with something, It's too much change if we start getting into that area as well. That's just my opinion.
I think the plan is to bring, I think with Veiga or like a Kudus, for example, these are two players that I believe can play on the wing as well, like a bit like what Eriksen used to do under Poch at Spurs. Do you know what I mean? Like a creative outlet from the wing. Because I think that if Mason stayed, he might have actually been used on the right, in all honesty, to create from the right, maybe. So even if we don't bring another winger and we bring in like a Veiga, he could be the option to bring off the bench for Madueke, or some games you might see that Madueke starts on the bench and then Veiga starts on the right. Have like four midfielders, really creative that against a low block, for example. So I don't think we're going to go for another winger, but I can see us going for like a Veiga who can play in that position as well. Because, if we go into the season with Mudryk, Sterling and Madueke as our only wingers, that's going to be a problem because we've got to manage Madueke quite well as well. Like his injury record ain't the worst, but it does look like he's injury prone a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So we have to make sure that we're not playing him every single game with no one else to come in for him.
Yeah.
Say that again?
Yeah, I was just saying that Nkunku can play off the left as well.
Yeah, and Nkunku can play off the left as well. So I think, with Veiga, hopefully he can play on the right as well if we need to, because we're definitely going to need him to some games.
I just think if there's an option out there to sign a winger that's Premier League proven and is low money, I think it might be worth.
I've got one for you.
Go on.
Wilfried Zaha, free agent tomorrow. Would you take him?
Yes.
I think I would. I'm entertaining it more now that we haven't solved the striker situation. I think he could play striker. He's Premier League proven. He's getting you off your seat. I just cannot believe that. That is it. Membership today, is it? I just can't believe that Wilfried Zaha isn't in the conversation to move across London to Chelsea. you know
That's
what I
a
mean?
very
Like,
good shout, you know. That's a decent shout, but it's just
He's
the
been
age. It's the age, isn't it?
He's
Yeah,
been in the
29.
conversation
What,
for
29?
10 years.
That's the only problem. I don't think this new recruitment team are gonna go in because of the age.
It's a
How old is he?
no-brainer for me. 29, I think.
We signed
Yeah.
Raheem Sterling
Harvey.
at the age of 28 and put him on 300.
Yeah, but that was Todd Bowley that did that though. It wasn't the new recruitment
Oh,
team. I don't see
30
them doing that.
years, actually.
You're 30, yeah.
Yeah, but
there's
if
no
he's a
chance to
free, if he's a free, you're not really like what risk? What is the risk factor of having Wilfried Zaha, who's Premier League proven?
He turned down Saudi as well because he wants
The risk is
to play
low.
Europe.
The risk is low, Jim. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
That's a good
Somebody
shout.
said Harvey Barnes.
Exactly.
Kazim,
Harvey Barnes.
Harvey
that's a
Barnes.
shout. That's a
That's
shout.
Elise was another. Elise is a
That's
good
a
shout,
shout.
but again, how much is he?
He
How
just
much
got
is
a
he
bad injury, by the way, Jem.
Did he? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Elise, we can't realistically with Elise. We've just got Madueke. Like these are both young players that need to develop. So we're not gonna block Madueke's path by bringing in an Elise. Like Zaha would make more sense. In all honesty, I just don't see this new team bringing in a 30-year-old. I don't really see it.
So
I don't
so
see
who pushes Madueke then? A 30-year-old
Say that
Zaha?
again?
Who pushes Madueke? A 30-year-old Zaha?
Yeah, I think
And
with
Zaha
Madueke,
will play off the left. He play off the
Yeah,
left.
I'm just saying
Zaha.
he traditionally
Sterling.
plays off the left. Yeah,
Sterling will be the one to push Madueke on the right.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll be Sterling and Madueke on the right. Yeah,
So who's? I know you got Zaha and Modric on the left.
on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably where it would be because Zaha don't play on the right. Sterling plays both wings.
Yeah,
Sterling was better.
I prefer Sterling on the left to be fair, but he can play on
I
the right.
like him on the right. I like him on the right, personally.
I think if you bring in Zaha, you undermine Sterling though as well. I mean, I don't know how.
I don't mind that.
Nah, come on.
You know,
Sterling was at
I
City.
say that to say this. I don't
Used to.
mind having
I see
competition
him posting
places,
these workout videos.
You know,
right?
like
Well, how much is Kudos?
Yeah,
No,
right.
is he
doing his pull-ups.
How much is it?
You look like you're struggling, man.
How much is
Kudus
Kudos?
is 40, 45 million they
You're
were
saying you're
talking
going to have to
about.
spend. You're going to spend money on it, which could go to another. And I keep saying we're going to get a midfielder anyway. Another midfielder like.
Yo, Jerry, can you hear me?
Gabri.
I'm on my phone right now.
Yes, Yellow Bus. Are you there?
I said, can you hear me? I'm on my phone right now. So I'm not
Yeah, I
sure
can
if
hear
it's
you
clear.
now.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, cool.
How you doing?
I'm good. What
I was talking
are
to
we
you
talking
earlier.
about?
We're talking about the winger options that we have at the moment. Obviously, we've got Madueke, we've got obviously
Mhm.
Mudryk, Sterling. We're saying, do we think we should add another maybe cheap option to put to the squad if Ziyech and Pulisic and that are going? Someone we mentioned Zaha on a free from tomorrow. Kudus, there's a couple really. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Nah, not Zaha. I don't think he's that good. Plus, I think he's going to Saudi for the bag. Which
You
is
said no,
good,
you know.
which is good for him. So yeah,
Said
I'm not really.
Right,
No,
he said
no,
no.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want Zaha.
You know what it is
No.
though? Zaha's a good player, man. That is a good shout because even last season when Palace lost him, I know obviously Vieira wasn't doing great and he had a hard run of games, yeah. But when he came back, you can see straight away this is their main player. Do you know what I mean? Premier League proven. He was basically going to go Arsenal, and then that didn't happen in the end. They ended up going for Pepe. So as a like option off the bench maybe or even starting certain games, I'm not fully against it, but I just don't see us going for a 30-year-old. That's the only problem. That's why I'm struggling to like fully, get
Do you
behind
think-
it. I just don't
do
see
you
us
think
going
it's-
for a 30-year-old.
Do you think it's an area that we should be adding to, or do you think it's just we just go with what we got and just worry about midfields and which we're going to worry about anyway, but the goalkeepers and maybe the
You know
striker?
what? I don't think we're going to be able to address all the need. Like I said before, like this is major surgery for me. I don't think we're going to be able to address everything in this one window. So, if there's a spot, if there's an area where you probably could just get by, I mean, you can play some midfielders out on the wing every now and then. We've seen it happen before. You saw the likes of
No.
I wouldn't mind on alone.
You know,
I would
I
not
get
mind
me
on
started.
alone. I would not mind on alone. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
I'd
That's a
debate it,
decent shout,
with everyone
still,
that left, I'd debate it.
Does
but-
anyone know if Jackson's ever played on the wing?
Nah,
No, he's
but
not.
we
He's
signed
not
this
Billy.
Gabriel, wouldn't we?
They
Which
say
is a
that
winger
he-
as well.
We don't need that many wingers because we don't have that many games next year. So
That's true.
like those
Yeah,
three
but if
wingers
somebody
and
gets
stuff-
injured,
but
if
the thing
somebody
is, though,
gets
Dan,
injured,
that-
you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. You've got
Yeah,
to
but
manage-
isn't that the
with
reason
players
why they're trying to get Veiga?
Dan, yeah,
Because he can
exactly.
play on the
That's what I
wing
said.
and play in midfield.
That's what I said as well. Because we definitely need to manage players like Madueke. Madueke is all about pace and power. Do you get it? When you're doing that week in week out at the highest level, you're bound to get muscle injuries. Do you know what I mean? You're gonna hurt your knee, you're gonna hurt your thigh, you're gonna tear something if you're constantly playing. Do you know what I'm saying? So we need to manage that well. We need to manage that well. So we definitely need to bring in another option. Do you know what I mean? We've only got 3 wingers. So I think the plan is going to be for Gabri Veiga to play on the wing if needs be. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it can work out in different ways. He could play in Kunku on the wing as
And
well.
Kunku,
Like
exactly.
you know what I mean? Like he can. There's different things he can do. He's not stuck to just a 4-2-3-1. If he wants to play 4-3-3, Kunku can only play on the wing in that system. So it's one of those where like we're just over. I think we're overcomplicating, these kind of things. Viegas, I don't know how good he is, but I guess with his profile, he can play attacking mid. He can play on like each side, which is good. He can cover for Nkunku. He can cover for the 2 wingers. I've never seen him play, so I don't know how good he is. But if they're scouting him and they really like him, then sure.
I don't see him as a winger. I'll be honest. I've watched a little bit. I saw him the other day in under 21s as well. Like he's a 6 foot. Like he's not like rinsing people with pace. By the way, like I don't see that. I think this Gabriel's obviously being signed for the future. If he has a good loan deal. If he ends up at like Strasbourg or something as well, like it wouldn't surprise me if he's called back in a year's time as well, left-footed winger to challenge Madueke, I guess. But I don't know anything about him really. I've watched a bit of Veiga. Like I don't see him playing out wide. I could see him potentially playing up and off the striker, but out wide just doesn't look like his position. He's got a pretty fierce long-range shot on him though. I'll give him that. But yeah, winger is a position where I feel like if the right option is there, we should get it done. If it isn't, the 38-game season, we could potentially cope with moving players out wide if they were there for a couple of games. And if it's come January, it's a serious problem. We might be able to like address it again.
I think you got to remember as well, Conor Gallagher's here as well, and it's like, are we going to sell him? Are we going to keep him? That's another option. I want him gone, man. I can't stand the guy. But
you know what it is? Yeah, for me, I've got serious injury PTSD, man. We had 12 injuries at one point last season. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but it's less games on. Okay, where'd he go? What happened there?
And we had a problem. Did we have a problem with our fitness? There's a lot of stuff going on that
because
added to that.
The whole fitness team.
Yeah, there was a whole fitness problem with these guys that they were getting injured. So I'm not I wouldn't plan on having a big squad just because we had injuries and everything else.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of you have your 25-man squad 100%, but you don't have to overbloat it because you're scared of injuries and like
I don't know what happened there, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's overbloating though, because it all depends on. I know what you're saying about Nkunku. Like if we go to a 4-3-3, then yeah, Nkunku can play off the left, right? I get that, but let's say we're playing 4-2-3-1 majority of the season, we're gonna need another winger because Nkunku's gonna be playing in that 10 majority of the time. Do you know what I'm saying? Unless we start Gabri Veiga there, let's say Nkunku's.
But here's the thing: for most of his seasons in the Premier League, Sterling plays 30+ games, right? And if he doesn't play 30+ games, he's being rotated. He's not injured. So this year was an anomaly for him. I'm not expecting Sterling not to be here for 30-something games. Now I'm looking at the 2 young guys I have to develop and give a lot of game time to, which is Mudryk and Noni, right? So you have Sterling, you have those 2 guys you have to give options to, and you have Nkunku who can also play on the wing. And apparently Veiga can also play on the wing. I don't think with that you need another winger.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. If we bring in Gabri Veiga, I wouldn't be looking to bring in another winger. I think he'll be the person to play off the wing. But we definitely need to bring someone in who can play on the wing as well. Because we can't go in with just 3 wingers. We can't. Carney doesn't look like the type of player that can play on the wing, in all honesty. So
he played there quite a bit last year though. He played off the left.
Carney would play the wing just like Veiga.
He'll end up on loan, I think, Carney, by the way.
Yeah, it's possible.
I just don't see him playing this season at Chelsea.
Carney could do a job there. You're right. He has played in the wing, but long term, do you guys see him developing the best he can in that position? Is what I'm getting.
No, but like if you need him in a pinch, he can go there for you, right?
So what I would want to do, guys, I just want to quickly.
I want Carney to play his position.
I hear you, but like if needs must, like if you have injuries all over the pitch and you have a Carney on the bench, he can probably slot in on the left for you. If needs must. I agree with you. The end of the season where I saw him playing in the 6, I love that. like just his driving runs, his power and whatnot. Like I would love to see him play in the 6'8" role somewhere in there.
I want to just quickly move on to the to finish off as well on the goalkeeping situation. Obviously, we're being told that Poch supposedly wants to keep Kepa and give him. He seems to have 9 lives. This guy, I can't stand it. I honestly can't. But anyway. It looks like Kepa might be the number 1 going into next season again. And obviously, it looks like we're still going to probably buy a goalie now, the fact that we've got rid of Mendy, but maybe more of a number 2, which I don't think should be the case. I think we should still be looking for a number 1. And if Kepa's still there and battling, then give him some competition, because having someone there that's not at his level, because I don't think he's even got a good look at that great of a level. I think he done quite well last season, but never really hit the standards of what Mendy did at Chelsea, even though Mendy dropped off after. I saw Mendy do more than Kepa, and we can all agree on that. But, I mean, what's your thoughts on this situation? Because it is another area where I keep saying, points are won and lost in from goalkeepers as well. There'll be games where we can't rely on Nkunku and everyone to score every game, and it might be a game where we're winning, 1-0, let's just say, and we're not firing like we usually are, and whoever we're playing has 2 or 3 good chances, and they're the difference, and we end up either losing 2-1 because Kepa just can't. I've seen it too many times. You know what I mean? Like you see it with Peter. You see it with Peter Cech and Courtois. We used to accumulate about 15 points in the league from just the goalkeepers. Goalkeepers win you games. You know this. We've seen Mendy do it for us at a part as well. Kepa hasn't showed me that. He's all right. He's done a little bit at the beginning of the season, saves and whatever. But then I see him at home against Man City, and I was there with, I think Dom was with me actually. The ball goes across the fucking goal, and he just lets it roll across, and they beat us 1-0, and they tap it in. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, he just has these like dumb moments all the time still in him. Like, and I can't...
how I look at it with Kepa, right, is I'll only accept him as our number 1 if we go big up front. If we get that striker that we need. Do you know what I mean? I'm talking about Osimhen here, by the way. If we don't get that sorted out, and we don't sort out got a new goalkeeper, I'm fuming, man. Because like you've said, Jem, keepers are important, man. We're going to lose a lot of games, draw a lot of games, lose a lot of points because of this guy. Do you know what I mean? He's proven it. He's not good enough to be our main keeper. He's not good enough. He's a horrible keeper, in fact. Do you know what I mean? So I don't mind him. I don't mind him off the bench, like as a number 2. But yeah, man, I get no optimistic vibes about Kepa staying. I know what they're saying about Poch and his training team. They feel they can get something out of him. They've seen enough, but I've seen enough. Yeah. And it's not good.
I've seen enough, bro.
Lloris as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, he actually thought Lloris was all right, and he made mistake after mistake after mistake at Spurs, and that's what worries me. He thinks Kepa's mistakes are like part of the course, and that worries me a bit.
He's a midget as well. Lloris was a midget. Fucking Kepa's a midget. Like, he likes these small goalies, doesn't he? In goal. Jesus.
Like, Kepa just doesn't give you that. Do you know what I mean? Like, in midfield, we've got a dog in midfield now, and Caicedo. If we get Caicedo in, yeah? We had a dog in goal before with Courtois and Cech. Kepa's not that. He's timid. Like, he's a timid. He's just not that guy. He
gets bullied every corner, mate. Every corner.
He doesn't command his box. The only thing he's good at is, like I said, reactionary saves. That's about it.
Yeah, but long shots as well. Like,
and the problem is that his biggest weakness is the biggest Hail Mary for every other team. Like, when teams can't score, what do? Just strike from fucking distance, right? Just bang it. And he's shit at that. So it's like, that's the major problem. And this year, top 4 is going to be a fucking battle, right? It's going to be very, very difficult. You're going to have City. You're going to have Arsenal. I think you're going to have Liverpool now, right back in there. You're going to have Manchester United. You're going to have Newcastle. You're going to have us. That's 6 teams going for the top 4. And the difference could be when we play each other and you have players of Kevin De Bruyne's quality, you know what I mean? All these type of guys banging in from distance, and we lose those close games. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be the difference. We might be good this year, but to make top 4, and if you go 2 seasons without making the Champions League, it's going to damage us a whole lot, right? This is how teams like Manchester United went from title to, oh, it's 2 seasons now you haven't had Champions League. Oh, it's 3 seasons now, right? And it just keeps going. So we have to make Champions League this year. And Kepa, I think, is probably going to be the freaking difference.
Yeah, we just have to pray. We just have to pray that if we do get Caicedo, which looks very likely, that he stops a lot of those long shots, right? I know he's not going to be able to stop a lot of them, most of them even, but I'm just praying that we find a way to just protect this guy.
John, when me and you go to the bridge, or we've been to away games, right? And he comes out, and I always mention this about him.
He's high.
When you see his stature in the goal, he is so small. Like I'm not joking. He is so small, and he's quite athletic and he can get around and he's got. But I agree. When it comes to long shots, top corners, or free kicks, whatever, he just does not have the reach to be able to stop them. I look at the Yuri Tielemans goal in the final against Leicester, where they beat us 1-0 from 30 yards out, and I said, if Mendy was in goal, he would have saved that. I think he would have saved that. He went top left-hand corner. Kepa couldn't get nowhere near that because, again, I'm not blaming him, but I just don't think his frame is a problem for me when I see him in goal.
I agree. I agree.
I know it sounds stupid. You can talk about abilities and this and the other, but his actual frame in the goal is very small. You must have seen Damian. He's not massive. He's not like...
Yeah, when
he
I
looks like
even before the game,
giant
when we went to the Everton game, Gem, at the Bridge, yeah? And I was looking at him, you know, like the lineup before the game and that when they're shaking hands and whatnot. I'm looking at him and there's like three players in our starting 11 taller than him. Badia Shil was taller than him.
If Kepa had a blue shirt on, you'd think he'd be an outfield player. Like, he don't look like a keeper at all. Now, like, he don't even move like, like some keepers are well big and stiff. Like, he don't move like a keeper. Like, he looks like he could play rather than be a keeper.
Yeah, he does.
Like, and then actually, when it comes to his distro, like, how many times do you see him put it into the middle of the park? And you're like, again, come on.
Can't be defending him still.
Nah, there's literally like, he's done for me. I can't believe he's getting another chance.
If we don't address that position, I'm judging that on how serious we are. Because Kepa, I see people in the chat saying, oh, I don't want to blow some of the budget on a goalkeeper, 60, 70 mil. And I get that. But this position is literally critical for success in the Premier League and in the Champions League.
Right.
Not in the Champions League, but it's very important. You know, it encourages, when you have a keeper like Kepa, it encourages the other team to do things that they would not normally do just because Kepa is there.
And it puts lack of trust in our defenders as well.
It's terrible, man. We need to address it
again and again.
Yeah.
Think about Liverpool
when
they got Alisson transformed. Think about us when we had Kepa and got Mendy transformed. We're in the same boat. And you know what? I actually thought when Lamps come back, I was like, right, he's going to put Mendy back in. Let's see what Mendy's about. But Mendy's just dropped off the face of a cliff and obviously left now. Like, Chelsea spent 600 million, and how we didn't address the goalkeeper situation is just beyond me. Like, I just don't get where that 600 mil went, bar Enzo and Badashile and Madueke, and obviously a huge chunk on Mudryk. But there's still money floating around there. Like, Koulibaly was obviously big money. It's just crazy. We just didn't get that done. I'm not being funny, but goalie is such a big issue at Chelsea. It's incredible we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
I just think
Nizar has come out with an exclusive comment in and around Levi Colwill, basically saying that as Colwill has been offered a new long-term deal at Chelsea. It's good. It's a good offer, but he won't sign anything until he speaks to Pochettino. Needing assurance on his squad role. Brighton are ready to break their transfer record for him. This is via the Standard. After Mount's exit, Chelsea will need to tie up their next best crop of young talent, including Levi Colwill. The 20-year-old is probably English football's best young centre-back currently at the moment as well. I mean, Koulibaly's gone. We'll finish off on this real quickly. Koulibaly's gone. We've got Badia Shil. Thiago Silva's not going to be here forever. You know, Fofana's there. Chalobah could be going into Milan. I hope he don't. I like Chalobah. I know a lot of people question, but I do like Chalobah. Levi Colwill. What do we do here? I mean, obviously he's going to want game time, right? The insurances will be, am I in your team? Am I going to be involved? Am I going to get minutes? Obviously, we're not going to be playing as much football next season, which might limit that. What do you do with him? Do you get him signing, maybe loan him back to Brighton or something? And then bring him in?
Nah. We don't sell this kid. No way.
No, loan him and bring him back the season after.
I don't think he'll take another loan. I think he'd rather leave. I think he knows Brighton are willing to pay the money, so he'd rather just leave and go there if Chelsea don't want him. I think he comes in. Badashile injury record ain't great either, by the way. Like, Thiago Silva, I got a funny feeling we're going to start seeing some players getting around him this season. I think this might be a push. I think Levi Colwill, like, we just got to go with it. Like, put this guy in. It allows us to switch up between a 4 and a 3 if Poch needs to. Like, he's a great player. Like, we've sold so many players. This is one that we just can't let go this summer for me.
Yeah. No,
but they're willing to break their transfer record for him. Remember that as well.
What is their record? Does anyone know?
It's like 30 million or something like
No,
that.
that's not enough.
Jim, they
It's gotta be 60.
can break whatever they want to break. We're not selling. Like, we're literally we're not selling this guy. Do you know what I mean? They can come with 40, 50 million. We're not selling it.
I mean, but you have to.
I think Dan hit it straight. I think Dan, you said it best a while ago. It was just like we don't have a definitive boss center back beyond Thiago Silva yet. Like none of these guys have really shown that they're ready to take the mantle. So I'm just taking the exact same approach to this now. You know, bring all the pieces back and let them fight for their place. You know, if he's better than Badiashile, then he'll take the spot. If Badiashile's better than him, then he'll take the spot. It's that simple. We need competition for places.
Challenge. Yeah, I agree.
Hear me out on this as well, right? If he was playing for Brighton last season and he was actually Brighton's player, Chelsea would be on the phone to Tony Bloom saying, how much do you want for him? We'll give you 80 million, blah, blah, blah. Like, and if Brighton owned him, they wouldn't be selling him for anything less than 80 as well. Like, the hype around this kid is massive. Chelsea are crazy to let him go. This is one that's like on Reece level, I think, in regards to a certain position.
Another problem with that is, you know, earlier we were having conversations of, would you add Colwell to the deal to get Caicedo in, right? Like that was a conversation a whole lot. And, you know, with Koulibaly leaving, with Thiago Silva, you know, almost 40, Chalobah, even if Chalobah stays, you only have two center backs that you can really start, and that's Badiashile and Fofana. And to replace Colwell, the number one guy people were talking about for a long time is Josko. Josko is going for 90 million. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even we can buy somebody, another young guy on the cheap and put him on the bench. No, you're going to have to spend a shitload of money to get that level of quality. This is why I was never with selling him for any reason. If you have to guarantee him minutes, listen, I rate him more than the rest. So personally, I'm guaranteeing whatever minutes he needs as a young center back to actually play. But if the club makes that choice and it's like, you know what, we can't guarantee you minutes, you know, this is you have to fight, because I don't think he has to fight when he goes to Brighton. He just starts, right? And the difference is even someone like a Fofana, we can talk about you fighting for your place. Fofana is not fighting for his place. He's gonna start because we spent 80 million on him. He has to start. And that's the difference that comes with when you're signed for a big price than when you're not, right? If he goes to Brighton and he's signed for 40 million, he knows he's going to play every game because they have to play it. But at Chelsea, you know, sometimes these youth guys become the fall guys, right? It's like, listen, I paid this for this guy, I paid this for this guy. Unfortunately, you just have to be benched.
That's true.
And I think that's what he doesn't want to happen. Yeah. He doesn't want to be the guy that is like, oh, it's easy to bench me because I cost nothing. While you paid 40 for Badiashile, you paid 80 for Fofana, so they have to play. And Thiago Silva is Thiago Silva. So that's where that conversation does need to be had with Pochettino. And if he doesn't see him as a regular starter, unfortunately, you might have to sell him because he's not going to start.
I don't think that's the case with Badiashile. Exactly. Like it's 35 million, right? Like it's not like you paid a mint for him. You might be right about Fofana. You might be right about Fofana at the 80 mil. You got to give that guy every opportunity to succeed. But Badiashile and Colwell could easily fight it out. That 35.
No. What I was trying to tell you was, my point wasn't that he can't fight with Badiashile. He 100% can. I don't think he wants to fight because Fofana doesn't have to fight.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
He doesn't want to fight. You should have to want to fight. Like,
listen, you guys can have. Hold on. I get it. You guys, he's 19. He should want to have to fight. Everything else, he doesn't want that. He wants to play. He wants to play in the Euros next year.
It's not.
Well, hold on, Dan.
I'm sorry. See ya.
I wasn't see ya. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Dan, even at Brighton last season, he wasn't starting week in, week out for them. It was still Lewis Dunk starting some games, and then Cole would start some games. He wasn't like a guarantee.
The only time he didn't start was when he was injured. Once he got into that starting lineup,
even when he came back, bro.
No, he got dropped. He got dropped a few times.
But he was injured. He just came back from injury.
No. Even when he was fit, he would be on the bench and stuff. You know.
No, early on, yes. When he first started at Brighton, he was on the bench early on. Nah, he was injured then. He came back from injury.
Trust he didn't play every game when he was available, Levi Colwell. He definitely did.
The conversation is
Webster played over him, like Dunk.
I don't listen. I'm not. I hear all that. I'm just saying I don't think he re-signs for Chelsea unless we guarantee him game time. I think if we say, you can fight with Badiashile, I don't think he resigns. And if he doesn't resign, you don't want the same problem you have now where he's
Yeah,
going
but
into his
with
last
Cole,
year.
one
You
thing
have, you
about
have
him
to
is
sell him.
he's quite versatile as well. So you never know. Like, you know what Pep's doing with these centre backs, playing them as fullbacks. You never know. We might do something like that where Colwell plays as a left back for some games, and then Badiashile plays next to him. You never know. Fofana might get dropped or he might get injured. Then you play two left centre backs as the two at the back even. So you don't know. There's nothing against playing two centre backs that are both like left footed. There's nothing.
I'm with you.
stopping us from doing that.
I think
You
he's
know
in
what I
the
mean?
perfect position to come in, and even if he fights with Badiashile, I think he wins that battle. I just don't see that in him of wanting to fight for that. Like all the conversation has been about guaranteed minutes or whatever, a guaranteed spot in the team and everything else. So I don't know. Maybe he does.
The good
Maybe
thing
he
is though,
doesn't.
Dan.
We'll see.
The good thing is though, Dan. We're not showing a level of commitment towards him now because Brighton won him. We've actually been trying to get this contract sorted out from early. Like from January, Matt Law said it that he's definitely in our plans even before we got Poch in. Do you know what I mean? So it's been on the club's like definitely on a priority list to get Colwell signed up because we've been keeping track of him. And again, Todd Bowley didn't want to sell him in the summer. It was Tuchel that wanted to sell him. Todd Bowley was like, "No, I want to keep this guy."
Yeah, no,
Do you know what I
I
mean?
agree with that. I agree with that.
It's been a long bit of interest in him. It's not just something like, oh, Brighton won him, so yeah, let's just sign him up now. We've
Yeah, no,
been
I agree.
saying for ages that we want to sign him.
I
So
think
he
I
knows that
agree with.
it's real.
Yeah, I think I agree with Couch when it comes to the fact that I think going into next season, I think we need to have positions being challenged. I think Colwell coming in and doing that is great. He's played in the Premier League last season as well. We know he had a very good season in the Championship as well prior to this as well. I think, this is a very good opportunity this season specifically based on the fact that we've got no European football of allowing players like Colwell to come back in and fighting for his position and battling Badiashile. And then you've got on the flip side of it, Silva and Fofana. We know Silva's not going to play as many games. Fofana will play a lot more games, I think. And then on top of that, you've got Chalobah. What we're doing with him, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Whatever, And then on top of that, you look at the defence overall. You've got Malagusto, Reece James on one side. You've got Cucurella and Chilwell on one side. You've got Badiashile and Colwell as one. And then you've got Fofana and Thiago Silva in there as well. I think that's very good depth for us to have going into next season. If we can, if we can keep Colwell and he's happy to assure that agree the long-term deal with us and go ahead and be a part of this squad, because he could be the next big defender from Cobham that's come through and actually succeeds and gives us that leadership qualities. And I don't know, maybe that is who Colwell will become later, playing against, next to really top quality players, learning from Thiago Silva or whatever. Do you know what I mean? These are things that I think we need to try and give to Colwell as well. So defensively, I think we're good if we can just get Colwell agreed. The midfield is the area that we know we're going to need to attack the most at the moment. And Caicedo, for me, if I don't hear Caicedo done next week, I'm going to start sweating a bit.
Yeah,
I'll be
You're going to start sweating? Why?
Yeah, I'm going to start sweating because
why does it have to be next week?
Because pre-season starts next week, He needs
but it's not the first time we've had players come in late in the window.
Yeah,
this is not going to be an easy deal.
That's messy. That's what Mourinho like doing.
Yes. In the ideal world, we should have had him last week. In the ideal world, I wish that he would come.
We can't though, because it has to be after the 1st of July.
Okay, so regardless of how you look at it, I would have liked to have him in at the earliest point, but this is going to be a complicated deal. I don't know how you guys.
I don't think it is.
Nah,
I don't think it is. You don't think it is,
money
eh?
and it's done. Personal terms are done. Personal terms are done. You drop the money, Brighton sell.
Yeah,
but what is that money?
80 to 90.
How do you structure that deal?
Probably paid off 20 million for the length of 5 years.
You know there's a range for him. There's a range. They just got to
without question.
The right
but
way.
I don't think that's going to be as cut and dry as next week. If it doesn't happen, I'm sweating.
No.
Couch, what do you think would be the most problems in the deal? What do you think are the problems that could potentially
the structure of payments? That would be the only thing, because bonuses go into teams.
Can I just say very quickly? One of the reasons Chelsea do a lot of business with Brighton, and this is it's based on what we've done.
That's a good point.
Is is purely down to the fact that they actually favour our instalment plans, and that's why we get progress with them. Yeah, we get bent over a bit with the fees because they end up charging us a bit too much for players. But in terms of the actual structure and instalment plans that we offer, we tend to like that. So at the end of the day,
Klarna, isn't it? That's what it is.
So
Brighton's our Klarna.
like that, I don't see it that being touched. I think, yeah. Look, Couch, I'm not saying that it won't go on after next week. I just feel that
I'm not worried about it. Is all I'm saying. I think it's going to get done regardless. And Georgie, I'm not a pessimist, man. I'm a realist, man. I don't think these things happen overnight. I'm very confident we're going to get them, bro. Like, relax.
Yeah. What it is, how I look at it, our recruitment team have already proved to us that they're not going to dilly dally like Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Usually Arsenal dilly dally. Like Caicedo wants to move. We've dealt with Brighton before. We're not going to muck them about. Let's be real. So I do think we're going to be close to an agreement. I think if we do go over bid, I don't know about that 60 million that David Ornstein mentioned before. But if we go in and it gets rejected, I think it'll be close to what they want, and then we'll get it wrapped up. But I don't think it'll be a situation where it's like 2-3 weeks. I don't see that.
I guess the Mason Mount one, I'm going to guess this one. I said 55 plus 5 will get it done, and it happened. I'm going to say this. I think we get Caicedo, and you might think I'm going crazy. I think we're going to get him for 70 mil plus 10 mil add-ons.
That's what's been rumored.
That'll be done next week, by the way, Joe.
I don't think the only optimism I have for this getting done quickly is the fact that we've already been doing the legwork on it since January. So they may already have something where they were close before, and then it's just pushing it over the line. That's kind of how I see it. But again, I don't even know how far we got last in the January window. I don't know how far, but there could be hope there.
And we have the money as well, right? That's the whole thing. We have the money to be able to pay, the 80 plus 10 if that's what they want, or 70 plus 10. I think it's going to be 80 plus 10. But we have the money to pay that.
They're open. They've been open. Like they know that Caicedo wants to leave. Like
so if we put that kind of money down, they're gonna take it. I mean, come on, they're gonna take that. They're gonna let him go. But now we're sitting on a 200 million center mid pairing, which is gonna be interesting.
Yep.
And also, don't forget one big thing. Caicedo already said he was leaving halfway through the season.
He wrote the letter. Yeah.
That's what he's interacting with Chelsea stuff.
He told us about his whole family. He said, "Listen, I got family that needs
it." He's definitely leaving. He already made it clear in January, and it's so that side of it's not an issue. It's just a
done. How much did they sell Kai Havertz for again?
65. How much? 65.
Yes, sir. Don't ever laugh at me again. Don't ever laugh at me again.
Nah.
To be fair, I said that to you in the chat as well. I did say to you that we will hold it and they will go for around 60.
Yeah, but no.
We got the money.
Let's not do that because Arsenal are dummies.
No, you was going, no, I need to accept it for anything. Just take 40 million.
How much is in the bank?
Because Real Madrid even coming in for him, I was gassed.
Boy, you know Havertz is going to perform at Arsenal, didn't you, as well? That's the worst thing.
Nah.
You know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
Nah.
We don't got to hope for anything.
I'm going to go, see?
As long as Nicolas Jackson is better than him, it doesn't matter.
Wait, AJ, the thing is, I agreed with what you were saying in terms of trying to hold that value because I was like, look, put the price quite high so we can meet in the middle, which is basically what's happened. But realistically, I did not see anyone in the Prem coming to us and being willing to pay 65. Yeah. It's been a shock to all of us, even Arsenal fans.
Well done, Chelsea.
I agree, but they needed that. We needed to get that out of Havertz.
It's not like I laughed at you for a player like, I don't know, Mason. Because Mason, I thought we could have got that amount, to be fair. I thought, okay, maybe 60 is realistic.
I thought
but Havertz, I didn't see anyone coming in for Havertz after the 3 years that he's had. Because at least Mason's done something.
This is the thing. I don't think there was a motive to
exactly.
It's only just because Arsenal met with what we originally wanted to send him. If they didn't do that, he would still be in next season. I'm telling you now. They would have not put him in the market.
Yeah, but like what?
But also he wants to leave, right? Like that was part of the big story. Is that so it's like it just made sense. 65 million plus he wants to leave. Okay, because he wouldn't sign if he was going to re-sign as well. They would definitely have kept him, even with 2 years left. They would have kept him. I think Havertz was the one they didn't want to lose.
Yeah, the point that I'm making is that the past 3 years that we've seen of Havertz, I know he's still valuable, but his stocks have dropped performance-wise, right? realistically, I did not see a single Premier League club come in and offering 65 million for him. I just didn't see it. And if you said that end of the season, Arsenal going to come in and offer 65 million, we would have all laughed. Let's be real.
I didn't know it would be Arsenal, but I know that, at the end of the day, some people are just marketable like that, and that's just how it works out.
All I know is
I was praying for Bayern. I was praying for Bayern. I was playing for...
Yeah, me too.
Do you know what I mean? I was praying for those.
Again, I think Arsenal play in a way that could work for Havertz. That's the thing.
AJ, even if Havertz plays the exact same way, here's the reality. They're not relying on him to score a single goal. Just like they weren't relying on Xhaka to score goals. That's what people are missing, is he's going to look better because he's like the number 5 choice now in terms of like the goal scoring, arcs, right? Yeah. First is Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, you know what I mean? Gabri, Jesus, then him. So his game is going to get better because he doesn't have that pressure anymore of being the main guy. At Chelsea, if he doesn't score, he's dead, right? Like, we're killing him. Like, are you crazy? Yeah. But they're looking at Saka, they're looking at Martinelli, they're looking at Gabri, Jesus, they're looking at Odegaard first before they're even looking at him. So I think he's going to benefit from that just in general.
When you say all them names, I think they might win the league next year.
What?
Oh, I mean,
what is going on?
I mean,
I'm not even lying. They just got Rice.
It's possible. It's possible. It's definitely possible.
They're going to close.
I don't think they can.
I don't think. They can.
I think this was their year.
I think City
would even get close this season, and they bottled it in the last 5 weeks.
I think City losing Gundogan is going to affect them more than people think, because he scored like he is probably one of their most clutch players. I've like, there's just so many games where it's like they're like a previous season, right? Not this season, but the last one when they were going against Liverpool. There were so many games where he was the one who scored the goal. It was 1-0. The last game of the season, he did that a whole lot. For like when KDB is wonky or he's not doing his thing, he's playing horrible, Gundogan was always there. So I think this is going to be one of those seasons like the Liverpool season where they snuck in and won it. It's going to be another one of those where City is going to drop off. I don't think they're going to be as good this year because of losing some of those key players, because they weren't blowing every team out the water last year. They had a lot of close games where these guys were super clutch, especially him. But so I don't know. We'll see.
We'll have to see what everyone does. I don't think that we can look at June 30th and decide who's going to be the champions. Like, we don't even know what these teams are going to be constructed like. Like, let's be real here.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I actually think you do with Arsenal. I think we spoke about it earlier in regards to Chelsea having a game plan and a structure. Arsenal, this would be their 3rd season with the same structure, the same group of players with a few additions. Like that shows and adds so much. Like when it clicks together, like you just keep building. Look at Liverpool; it took Klopp a few seasons with the same group of players, adjustments here and there, and then they won the cup, they won the league. Like I think Arteta, is cooking.
I don't rate Arteta like that, and the thing that I'm most gonna be watching for next year from Arsenal is whether the weight of expectation is something they can handle, because people expect them to be challenging for the league. Nobody expected them to be challenging for the league this year. They just came out of nowhere, and then as soon as it became a
did to him at the end of this season.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then they might learn.
Mind this, get.
They're not,
and I know you guys. I know you guys may not. Some of you guys might not rate him or something, but they got a mentality monster on their team now. Declan Rice his mind is he's a captain, so he's done something for West Ham that they've never been able to do in their fucking history. So he's coming off that. Like, I was able to achieve that. If they need that extra mental push, because all they really need to do is be as consistent as they were last year. I don't think they still win it. I think it's going to be very, very close, one of those fights, but I think they can.
Yeah, no, I hear you guys. I do need to shoot because I've got a little bit of work to do. Been on for 2 hours and 30 minutes. I've made up for the not being here for 7 days. All right, so leave alone that. I've made it up by doing a longer show today. But listen, we're going to keep pushing hard next week as well. A lot more shows will be coming your way. We'll keep you updated. It's been a good show today, guys. Dan, thank you for coming on. I've appreciated you coming in, man. Some good insight as well. It's been good. Couch, as always, AJ, Dan, and Don, all of you guys, big love. And we will see what Chelsea do next, eh? We'll just see what Chelsea will do next.
Yeah, quality. Cheers for having us on.
No worries. And if you're available again, make sure you come on, bro. I'll add you into our we've got a little group actually, so I'll add you into that as well. So we're going live and that as well. But guys, big love to yourselves. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully, I don't think Chelsea again, transfers are usually quiet over the weekends. It's usually the midweeks you start seeing things happening. So don't be surprised if nothing happens for the next 2 days. As you can probably appreciate, everyone needs to have a break, including the owners, man. They need to, they need to have time with family and whatever else. But guys, big love. I'll see you later. Take care, and we will see you very soon. Peace.